Hey there, hi.
Welcome to today's GameCast broadcast. Today's broadcast is packed with a large variety of unique and original programming that is sure to meet every gamer's entertainment needs, along with some old-fashioned vitamins A and B. You can expect the hottest news of the week, a large variety of opinions, and salt, from GameCast hosts, and some good old-fashioned fun. We have a lot of entertainment in store for you, so grab a Mountain Dew or two and a bag of Doritos, and strap yourself in for the one and only TV for Gamers.
This message not sponsored by Mountain Dew or Doritos. In fact, we wish we were sponsored by those guys. We could in fact be rolling into a not mean cash and literal, so please someone out there sponsor the GameCast Entertainment Network. It means a lot to us, pretty please.
Stay tuned for the news hosted by Insert Name Here. Get yourself in the know on all the latest happenings in the gaming world. Be it good, be it bad, be it something that makes me very, very salty.
Hey there, hi there, hello there, internet dwellers, and welcome to another episode of the GC Informer. It's been quiet for a couple of weeks, because everyone's, I think, got a bit burnt out, but we're back, we're rested, and let's get straight on with today's news. A few catch-up stories from the week then. Bluehole, the developers of PUBG, are getting their knickers in a twist, because more and more games are popping up that are stealing the formula from their game, and certain aspects that they consider to be special, exclusive type content that people have come to recognise from their game and their game alone. However, for the first time in ages, it's not targeted at Fortnite. They are actually now going for a company called NetEase, who have been producing some mobile games that, in argument's sake, do, as an overall package, look rather PUBG-esque. Two games that they've pinged up in particular are called Rules of Survival and Knives Out. So there is perhaps a small argument on the side of PUBG that, yeah, these games do look rather similar to PUBG as a whole. However, the fact that they've chosen to nitpick on certain things is where this starts to get problematic. Because, how many times Bluehole need to be told, I don't know, but certain concepts they do not own. Yes, they put a bunch of them together in a game and called it PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and it's proven rather popular. But realistically, looking at that game, there's not really much that is, yes, this is an exclusive thing that only PUBG can offer, and they've created. They've just put aspects together from other games and gone, yeah, here we go. It's very bland in terms of uniqueness, I think. And even, I enjoy watching PUBG. I don't really like playing it, but I like watching people play it, and it's not the most unique game. It's the experience that it creates that people have enjoyed, and on such a large scale. But yes, they are suing, they are nitpicking that the use of the mini-map, the use of jumping out of a plane, the use of a waiting screen, so a lobby, are all things that are being copied from their game, and then maybe they look done in a similar way, but PUBG are not the first people to do these things, and they won't be the last, so they can't stamp a copyright on it. Just like they can't copyright a battle royale. Over into something else now, Steam have done a privacy update to their services to give users more opportunity to make things private, so you can now hide whatever games you have in your library, what games you have on your wish lists, what you are currently playing, but perhaps more notably, which is where this then leads, is you can now hide your statistics. You can hide how long you've been playing a game, how frequently you've been playing a game. And so as a knock-on effect, this is causing Steam Spy to close. For those of you who are not aware, Steam Spy is a website that focuses on the statistics of Steam. So I've certainly used it in the past, all those interesting little charts that have come out that shows the growth of something like PUBG and also the decline of things, and negative responses to things that have come up when certain people put microtransactions in their games. That's now going to have to stop. Well, somebody else might be able to find a way through it, but unfortunately now, because people have the opportunity to hide their stats, we'll never know if things are truly accurate or not. Which is a shame, because it was always something super interesting to see, but it seems this wasn't intentional on Valve's part. It was just something that comes as a side effect from giving players more freedom to hide things. So it swings and roundabouts. If you are a very private person, you don't like people using you for their statistics, then this is great for you, but I personally think it's a little sad, because I used to like learning all that stuff. It was pretty interesting. Microtransactions, friends, they're always on the horizon, they're always around, but they are shrinking, which is really, really good. So we knew it was coming. Battlefront 2's microtransactions are going to be returning, and they will be coming back on the 18th of this month, so literally a couple of days from now. But as addressed before, they are going to be substantially different, because miraculously EA have been forced to react to the huge backlash that they received, quite frankly. So annoyingly, they are coming back. We had hoped that maybe they would decide to just leave them, but you know, they are a business and they are going to keep trying to push. So microtransactions will be returning. But you know, swings and roundabouts, because Shadow of War did announce that they would be removing their microtransactions. As of the 8th of May, you could no longer buy gold in the game with real money, because the developers finally understood that by buying the things that you needed to progress in the game, what's the point in playing the game? And they finally realised this and have decided to take it all away. So swings and roundabouts, you have some coming back, some leaving. The microtransaction sort of outrage of late 2017 and early 2018 does seem to finally be making some real headway, and hurrah! It's making changes, which is great. So over to my headliner of this week, I wanted to talk about Sea of Thieves. Woo! I know a couple of my colleagues have talked about Sea of Thieves, and they have pretty strong ideals on both sides of that fence, but this is about updates. Rare have now released a video, I believe, and some statements that show what they're planning for Sea of Thieves over the next few months. Because it's not finished. Good. And they have things that they want to add to the game. Good. It might actually be a game. I'm slightly revealing which side of the fence I sit on. But I have played Sea of Thieves. I downloaded the trial version of it, and it is good. I like it. There is definitely a draw to it. It is an interesting little pirate game, which we haven't really seen much of before. I like being able to play with my friends, but there's nothing in it. It's just like a big sand pit where someone took all the toys out and left maybe one bucket and one spade. And once you've made a couple of sandcastles, you're kind of like, oh, what do I do now? To put it into perspective, My 2-week trial is nearly over and I have played the game once for one evening and have thought about playing it again, but I just haven't. So nothing is coming in April, so don't get too excited. April will kind of remain as it is because Rare are focusing on fixing immediate problems that the community have flagged up at the moment. So they're still mainly bug tracking, but the new content will be coming in May, or at least beginning to come in May. So the first update that's due to come in May will be called The Hungering Deep, and it's going to bring a new, more intense AI enemy into the game for people to take on together. And in May they're also going to be bringing out a live event schedule, so players can see all the events that are going to be planned, all the special weekly events that players can take part in and receive special rewards and things. But some foreshadowing of some future updates coming to Sea of Thieves as well is one called Forsaken Shores, which will open up a new area in the map completely, again with an AI related threat, and Cursed Sails will bring another AI related threat that it is believed to be a ghost ship of some kind. That sounds cool, but also a new player ship type, because people have been crying out for something that sits in between the current 2-man sloop and the 4-man galleon. So if you've got 3 players, which one do you choose? And if you've got more than 4 players, could you create a crew that's more than 4 on a bigger ship? Who knows? So Rare do have something planned for player ships, we just don't know what. So this will bring new gameplay mechanics, apparently a new AI enemies to the game, something that it is hugely lacking, as well as unique rewards to claim. But they have said that the larger updates will be taking place in autumn and winter. So whilst this could be something interesting to maybe keep players playing the game, I don't see it bringing new players in just yet. And a final little story of the week, a new game that's coming very soon to PC, PS4 and Xbox One, maybe Switch in the future, don't know, is a hand-drawn anime-style adventure game called Forgotten Anne. And that's going to be coming out on the 15th of May, so about a month away. It's a really interesting looking game. I had the chance to play it myself at EGX a couple of years ago, and yeah, it's a sort of little puzzle adventure game and taking a lot of its hand-drawn anime styles from things such as Studio Ghibli, but also a little bit of like a Beauty and the Beast feel with the inanimate objects with faces and things like that. So yeah, it looks like a really interesting little game, and keep your eyes peeled. I think that could be something maybe worth picking up. And that brings us to the end of the news. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching. Stay tuned for more awesome gaming content. There's plenty to watch on the GameCast broadcast and on our YouTube channel as well if you fancy a backlog of all of our stuff. There's so many videos. I had to find one the other day and it took me a long time. And if you want to get more involved with the channel, you can join our Discord. We've got a bunch of new channels set up for chatting about all sorts of things, ranging from games to movies to art to whatever you fancy. And if you want to be part of the team, you can apply to join us there as well. We'd love to have more people making content. So if you have ideas and you want to put them forward, we want to hear from you. Thanks again for watching. I've been your host Orange Lightning from Orange Lightning Playzone. Enjoy the rest of your weekends. Take care for now. Bye!
The GameCast Discord is the hub of the small world that is GameCast. It's a thriving community filled with gamers, GameCast personalities, and other miscellaneous people we somehow keep picking up along the way. We really don't know how to get rid of them. Not only will it keep you up to date and in the know on all things GameCast, but you will also find weekly gaming events, streams, and of course, a very salty Count Fracula, now also available in a low-sodium alternative. Coming up next, Game Changer. Explore the many weird and awesome ways you could be playing your favorite games. Hacks, mods, challenges, and glitches. Game Changer and your host Alex are sure to have it all.
What's up everyone, Alex here, and welcome back to Game Changer. This is where we explore weird and awesome ways to play games. Today, I kinda lost my voice a little bit, so I'm pretty close to the mic and trying not to overuse my voice, but gotta get this done for the YouTube, so bear with me. Today we are looking at a co-op mod for Skyrim called Skyrim Together, so let's get right into it. The Skyrim Together mod is exactly how it sounds. Multiple players can play on a single online server. It is planned to be released this year. And there's a live to-do list on Reddit that updates frequently, so you can check back on it and find out what's being worked on and how the mod is doing. Every server can technically support up to 64 players, and there will be a possible cross-play between the original edition of Skyrim and the special edition. Now for some bad news. Bethesda blocked the release for Steam, but a public release may still be possible. People are thinking that Bethesda's choice to block the release may indicate a plan to release something similar. Let's get into the details on how this mod is supposedly going to work. PvP is fully supported. Players are treated as NPCs, so fast travel's not allowed if you've aggroed somebody. When you die, a player can heal you if they reach you within 45 seconds. Otherwise, you respawn in Whiterun. Sleeping will not pass the time because obviously that would screw up the entire server and it would probably crash. It is advised that the player disconnects first before reloading a different save. Again, it plays into the whole you could mess something up really badly if you don't disconnect first. So as far as the experience works, all players involved can gain Dragon Souls, shouts, etc. Everybody gains the same amount of experience. Here's a quote from somebody who is working on the mod: "Everyone will be the Dragonborn, and we aren't going to change that." So I'm also going to add in a little section here that I'm calling the State of the Mod in 2018. That is what I wrote on this piece of paper. So there is a new developer as of now, which means that there are currently 8 devs working on this project. This is as of this month in 2018. I think we're still in March. Yes, we're still in March. There's a Discord server for anyone who wants to keep up to date with the Skyrim Together mod. There is an alpha release that will be available to the public very shortly from what it sounds like. This project is still going to actually be a thing. They are still working on this. It's just that they have to get past some of the obstacles and the fact that Bethesda is stopping them from being able to publish it on Steam. I think this is an amazing idea, and I'd really love to see this become a reality, but I can also see why there might be a problem because Elder Scrolls Online already exists, so I'm really hoping the devs can find an approach that works. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see me do a Skyrim challenge over on my channel, I just got done with a challenge series. You might like it. If you want to see more content like this, then head on over to the GameCast channel and see what we're doing over there. We've got news, reviews, podcasts, let's plays. We're doing some awesome stuff, and otherwise, come see us in our Discord server if you're interested in becoming a member or getting involved with the community. Anyway, I am signing off for now. See you later.
Follow GameCast on Twitter. Not only is it a handy space that keeps you in the GameCast know, but it allows for you to share with us what's piquing your interest in the gaming world, and ultimately aids us in staying in the know of what interests you, our fellow gamers and fans. GameCast Twitter has been referred to as a shotgun to the face of tweets and content. We will be very
disappointed if you don't retaliate in kind.
Stay tuned for the Newscast, the show where the GC Informa hosts are format-free, off-script, and, at times, out of their minds. Join them as they dive deep into the current events of the gaming world.
Warning, may contain high levels of salt. GameCast is not accountable for any health issues linked to salt exposure or consumption.
Welcome back to another episode of the GameCast Newscast. I am Snowy, otherwise known as Count Fracula. Joining me as always is my co-host Max.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. And bit light on the stories today, actually. Ah, that's the other fucking thing I was going to talk about. Remembered it now.
What's that?
PUBG.
Oh God, what?
Lawsuits.
Oh, the lawsuits. Okay, that's actually somewhat interesting, if not
I need to
stupid.
get my post-it note out of the bin.
Where it belongs.
Well, that's a bit to cut. So, Max, what have you been playing this week?
Well, I got a PS4 finally. So, yeah, I've been playing catch up.
Fucking hell.
So I've been playing catch up. So the two games that I've been playing on it have been Crash and Nier. I didn't get to play as much as I'd like because I ordered a third-party controller when I first got it because it was like $20 cheaper. And that thing was disconnecting every 10 seconds. So that was really annoying. And I said, fuck it. And I just went and bought a first-party controller anyways. So now I just have to return the other one.
Saved for nothing.
I know, right?
Right.
I mean, honestly, it's worth it. I don't really mind that much. But, yeah, so I've been playing Crash. It's much harder than I remember it being. I know that they kind of made it harder as well. So that's a thing.
The
but,
hitboxes are smoothed out a bit more, so...
Yeah. And it's definitely noticeable. But, I have been enjoying it a lot. I'm almost 100% of the first game. And then I will be moving on to the second one. I've got all the gems and everything. I just really need to do the time trials. So that's fun. I'm really enjoying this. And then Nier. Oh my God, Nier is a fucking bitch. It's amazing to play, but so you can't save right away.
No, it's like the first sort of 40 minutes of the game and you can't save.
Yeah.
Pain in the ass.
That's a thing. That's a thing. It has to do with the story, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
Like the story I've kept in the dark on purpose, but the story kind of has to do with like loops, time loops and stuff like that. So
yeah.
It makes sense with the story. But oh my God, I think I got to like the last part last night and I fucking
I've done that.
Like, just
it's
out of nowhere.
So frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that's a thing. I'm enjoying the shit out of it, but yeah, that's a thing. The combat is fantastic. It's super smooth. I will say it's also definitely nice to be playing a game that isn't frame dropping all the time, like on the Xbox. Huge Xbox fan, but yeah, that's definitely a real issue. So that's been nice. And then speaking of Xbox, I've also been playing the BioShock collection.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then I also got a bit more time into Resident Evil 4, but I don't have much to say on that. But I've been playing the BioShock collection, the original BioShock. Holy shit, this port is bad. Let me tell you.
No.
The first two Big Daddies I encountered, they glitched and like stuck in one spot. Like I walked up to them and like touched them and everything. And yeah, so that was kind of stupid and not intimidating at all. Voices cut out all the time. They talk over each other. Sometimes enemies just get bugged out and they just like kind of stand there or they don't react appropriately. And I just don't remember that being an issue when I played
that's
the,
a bit depressing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, like, I mean, the game is still playable without question, but like, there's enough of that stuff to be kind of like, wow, y'all kind of screwed this up a little bit. Honestly, aside from the Dishonored port, it's probably the worst port I've ever played.
Wow.
In terms of just like, I don't know, just being reliable, which is a shame. I have no idea if the second and third games run better, but yeah, that's kind of weird. Again, it's entirely playable, and I've still been enjoying it because it's BioShock, but yeah, it was just kind of surprising, and you know, you expect a lot more from one of the best games ever made, but
yeah.
Oh well. What do I know? I'm only 20. How about you, bud? What have you been playing?
Somewhere between fuck and all, because work and life. I am currently, however, playing Enter the Gungeon.
Oh, nice.
I started that again. So had an urge to play it for whatever reason last week.
Right. That's
And
awesome. That's
it's such a good game.
That's a solid play.
It is
Yeah.
a great game. Yeah, it's really... I'm going to have to pause while I talk because I can't do both. Literally.
Fair.
I've also been playing a bit more Rocket League on the Switch because I'm going to be reviewing it on GameCast. It'll hopefully be out... Hopefully in this broadcast that you're maybe listening to now.
Yeah, same with my review.
Yeah, but it may also be next week. Depends how tomorrow goes for me with water bills and videos and everything. Unfortunately, though, I have the day off, so that's something.
Yay. One day we'll be full-time here, don't worry.
Yeah, one day. Hopefully, maybe. I don't know. Can you repeat the question? What else have I been playing? Fucking nothing. Literally haven't had the time. Just been working and making videos.
Stop sleeping.
I mean, that sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah,
I did, however, get
It is.
through Twitch Prime. I got a couple of games yesterday, including SteamWorld Dig 2, absolutely free.
Nice.
Yeah. So if you have Twitch and you have Amazon Prime, link that shit up because they give away some fucking great stuff.
And it's only been 1 month.
It's so surprising the amount of stuff they give away. I can just go through it because it's all on here, I think. Kingsway, which is a really interesting little... I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a MS-DOS adventure game, but like you're actually in the operating system and the game fucks with it in loads
Sounds like
of weird
super
and
hot.
interesting ways. Tokyo 42, which is like
Meh.
What do you mean meh?
I reviewed that game. I don't like it very much.
Go away. It's a great game.
It's beautiful. The art style is fantastic.
This is
I liked it. I liked it for like like the first half, and then it kind of falls apart in my opinion.
Tut.
I like the ideas though. No, it has some cool ideas. I think that it needs a sequel.
Okay. It did. That's the complete edition, though, so it's got the DLC with it, which is good.
Oh, nice.
Tales from the Borderlands,
Whew.
Dub Wars. I have no
Fantastic.
fucking clue what that is at all. I just claimed it anyway.
Hmm.
And SteamWorld Dig 2. That was literally all released on April the 1st, and you can get it up until April the 30th, and that's just on your Twitch account.
Yep.
Like, as I think
It's
even,
only PC, right?
Yeah. I think they do have some PS4 related giveaways. I remember seeing one somewhere. It might have it's ended now.
Shame.
There's some Paladins loot which you can claim on PC, PS4 or Xbox One.
Nice.
A weird Final Fantasy 15 Windows Edition kooky bundle. I don't even know what that is.
I don't even want to know.
No, some Fortnite loot on all of the platforms. Like, World of Warships in-game loot. There's a lot of in-game loot they're giving away with the Prime stuff, but yeah, you do actually get quite a few free games, and that's a really cool thing. Stardew Valley, an amazing game that I want on Switch because I don't even know why, because I do, because I want everything on Switch.
It's like
I know it's
basically
on there,
designed
I just
for the
haven't bought it
Switch.
yet. Yeah,
It's designed for the system it was designed for the system before it even came out.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just a brilliant game. I've put a lot of hours into it. I think... How many? Not Steam VR. Shut up, Steam. I have put into Stardew Valley... Where the fuck is it? Oh, it's in my favourites. That's why. Stardew Valley has about nearly 40 hours into it, which isn't too bad by my standards at all.
Yeah, I'm about the same actually.
Yes. Enter the Gungeon, incidentally, has about 62 hours.
Nerd.
Okay. Unnecessary sass. But yeah, Stardew Valley's a really good game. I married the little goth girl with the purple hair because she's adorable.
Oh, she is cute.
Yes.
I never got married.
Story of your life.
I've been meaning to. Fuck off.
I couldn't resist. Sorry, that was... Oh, he kind of just... Yeah.
That was mean.
You pitched it straight down the middle.
I did. I deserve it.
Oh, brilliant.
I deserve it.
Oh, that's great. So anyway, there's been for a while this update that's apparently coming for multiplayer because people want to play like together on this game, which is, you know, not a thing that I would do.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's a thing that I can understand people wanting to do. It has been in the works now for quite a while, and I think it's been pushed back a couple of times as well. Apparently, they can marry they can, like, the two people playing multiplayer can marry each other if they wanted to.
Really? That's cool.
That's nice actually. I like the fact they've added that option in. That's quite good. I say they, it's one guy. It's always been one guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been going a little slow recently, but the developer of the game, Eric Barone, who's like, what is he? Is he come out of Everybody Loves Raymond or something? Bloody hell! God, that's a dated as fuck reference.
Concerned ape. Let's just call him that.
Yeah, that guy. He tweeted on the 10th of April, update on Stardew Valley multiplayer, still making good progress on fixing bugs. If all goes well, should be ready in about a month. So, yes. This is a positive thing.
Very.
I don't know if there's any other content going into this, specifically, that I'm aware of.
I know it's a pretty hefty update.
Yes,
so
but I think most
of it is multiplayer.
Most of that heft will be multiplayer, because multiplayer is not the easiest thing to put into a game.
Exactly. And this isn't just like tacked on shit. This is like multiplayer. Like this is like this whole like kind of different
This
version
isn't
of the
just
game.
multiplayer. This is multiplayer.
Exactly. Like for example, you could get married to each other. Like they're overhauling things because of this. Like this is really cool. Honestly.
They've got to be adding quite a few systems into the game to be able to accommodate some things. So yeah, it'd be very interesting to see how well it plays.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be good.
Oh yeah, well, it's Stardew Valley.
Sure.
It's going to be
with how
good.
long it's fucking taken too.
Oh, you kind of hope it would be good after that long. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I have all faith in it.
Yeah, I have faith in it because I have faith in the creator of the game. I think he made a very good game in the first place, and I see no reason why he wouldn't be able to make another, like just make it still good.
Yep, agreed.
So yeah, I don't know if there's actually much more to say on this other than it's coming and I'm excited.
Yeah, I'd agree.
But at the same time,
I guess it'd be interesting to see how that works on Switch.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand if they were implementing it on Switch or not. Thinking about it,
I'm sure they are.
Yeah, I suppose it can't be that much different. The only thing I will note is that it'll come later on because patch things for Switch have a much longer approval process than basically every other major console. Because I know Rocket League had to do a patch recently, and they said that they couldn't get the Switch version out for like a week after the other ones came out. Just because it takes that long. I mean, that's a long time for approval.
Yeah,
what?
It is. I didn't say it.
You said crash.
I said trash.
Oh, I see. Look, I'm playing Enter the Gungeon. I'm going to have to stop because it's just too distracting.
Fair.
To be fair, I'm nearly dead anyway.
I am playing Crash right now, though.
What, right now?
Mm-hmm. I'm 100%.
To be fair, I think you're probably better at playing games while talking than I am. I'm really bad at it. And I'm died.
It depends on the game. Your games is much more engaging than mine is.
This is true.
Especially because I've already played through these levels.
Yeah, I think every time I try and play a game while I'm talking, it tends to be a game that requires more attention than I think it will.
Yeah, I tend to pick games I've already played through and I'm just grinding like to 100%. There's a reason I pick the games I do.
Maybe I should play City Skylines or something. That might be better.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway.
Gets too relaxed.
Yeah. Crossplay. I've just seen a comment on the Game Informer article. I would just like crossplay from Switch to PC.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. As cool as that would be, I don't know about that one.
I know that a lot of games find it, like they've said, like a lot of game developers are like, it's basically just flicking a switch to say, yes, we can do this.
Wait, really?
I know, I think it was Rocket League's developers.
And Fortnite, I know they said. Because Fortnite, they literally did it.
Yeah, they were just like, hey, this is thing. Yeah. I know Rocket League's developers are like, the only reason that PS4 players can't play with everyone else is because of Sony. They literally said, like, it's like flicking a switch. We can just pull the players together like that. There's no issue with it.
I wonder if that's always the case or if these games have been built that way because they were because they're online centric. I don't know.
Maybe
that is something that I do not have the knowledge on.
Maybe the way Stardew Valley's multiplayer will be implemented is more a sort of you have to know who you're playing with kind of multiplayer.
Yeah, you live on their farm.
Yeah, no, but like I mean, you
you
have to know like the person that you're playing. Like you have to have their friend code, or you have to be friends with them on Steam or something like that. So maybe that's why. Maybe would be a reason that crossplay wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah,
because those sets of databases are a bit harder to mesh like that than they are when it comes to just random matchmaking.
Right. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I don't know. To be honest, I have no idea how all these servers and crossplay things mesh
this is
together.
all speculation.
Yes, this is speculation for a load of people who don't know a fucking thing.
Exactly.
So, yeah. It might work, it might not work. I haven't got a fucking clue.
I ain't got a clue.
I ain't got a clue. I don't know what you're talking about.
That was a brilliant accent.
It was not. Yeah, so Stardew Valley's multiplayer coming in about a month. If that's your thing, great. It's a thing. That's going to be a thing. Cool. Next story. So, Xbox fans, you know how you have no games on your console?
No exclusive games. I have 300 just sitting there.
Yeah.
Waiting for me
I
to
have
be played.
basically every game that I could ever want on PC, including the ones that are mostly exclusive to Xbox.
Yeah, I know. Everyone does. That's the issue.
Fuck owning an Xbox, but that's only if you have a gaming PC. If you don't have a nice PC, owning an Xbox is probably fine. Even though I'd still
especially
say,
an X, it's much cheaper now.
True. I'd still say the PS4 has more games I actually want to play on it.
Yeah, as someone who just bought one last week, let me tell you, my Xbox has seen very little playtime and will continue to be that way for a while, especially with hearing about God of War today.
Oh, yes. If you don't know, we're not going to... Wait, are we going to... No, we're not going to talk about that. No. God of War has been getting really amazing reviews. Like 10 out of 10.
Fuck Metacritic, but it has a 94 on Metacritic.
Yeah. But like it's been getting 10 out of 10 almost across the board. That's amazing. Like that's... Yeah. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting a sort of 8.
Oh, I was expecting high. I was expecting high or very average. Because their whole goal was like, we need to re-innovate the series. Or re-innovate.
The thing is, I'm really interested...
because it got stale.
Yeah, the part of God of War, the new God of War that really interests me is the setting, because I am in love with Norse mythology. I adore it.
Oh yeah, apparently there's a lot of that.
Yeah, because that's when it's set.
Well, I know, but apparently it explores it a lot. Some games don't explore their setting very well.
It's a bit like... Well, the original ones explored the Greek myths really well at the same time.
Fair.
And I just actually finished an audiobook the other day about Greek mythology.
Shit.
It was narrated by Stephen Fry, and it was very entertaining.
Are you gonna say the name?
It's called Mythos. Yeah, that was a good book, and yeah, that got me more interested in Greek mythology than I had been. I was more into.
I know this dude.
Yeah, you must do. I was more into the Norse mythology before, but I'm sort of like my Greek mythology interest is catching up slightly because it's all like really. Like, I think that when you're taught it as a child, it's really tame because it kind of has to be because you're a child. But when you're grown up, you can actually appreciate some of it because it's really debauched and awful, and it's quite good because of it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can understand why God of War's had a load of interest. But anyway, that has literally nothing to do with what we were talking about. Xbox. Their back catalogue of backwards compatible games is growing. So, for those of you who own, how many games are there on that list? 5, 10, 15, 19. That's a really awkward number.
They laid that out. They should have done one at the top, not an empty space at the bottom.
How would they have... What? One at the top? How would they have managed that? Give me the layout of numbers to manage that.
Hold on.
That doesn't work. I'm gonna have to put this thing on the fucking edit now because it's four rows of 5 slots, but the middle bottom is empty. But how would that work? To have one at the top and then the rest in however many rows. Break that down for me.
Okay, you know what? Fuck off. I'm playing Crash.
You said it.
It was a thought without much thought behind it.
Oh, clearly.
It's been a day.
Yes. 18 goes only into 9 and 2. So you have 2 rows of 9 and a 1. That's how it would work. Literally the only way.
Honestly, that would probably still look better.
Yeah. Anyway. There's a list of games that are coming from the original Xbox that if you own the disc will be able to be played on your Xbox One, or I think they come to the Xbox Store as well. Is that true?
Yeah, they're supposed to.
Does that mean that they become Play Anywhere titles?
No.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Games have to be like specifically...
Oh, they have to be
Anywhere, not
specifically
every game.
Play Anywhere. Oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
That's some bullshit. Anyway, the games that are coming...
That was the entire E3 last year, was bullshit buzzwords like that, so...
Yeah, that's not just even from Microsoft, that's from everyone.
Yeah, but it was mostly Microsoft.
Except Devolver Digital.
Yeah.
Oh,
God.
the memories of that madness. That was amazing.
They're wonderful.
Right,
They
anyway.
deserve to exist.
They do. The list of games that are... I bought Minute, by the way.
Fuck yeah.
Yes,
Game's
I'm
awesome.
looking forward to that. Games that are coming to Xbox One from the Xbox One. Ugh. Morrowind. Breakdown, I don't know what that is. Conker's...
Reloaded, I believe.
Yeah, it's not Conker's Big Fur Day, it's Conker Reloaded.
Live and Reloaded.
Yeah,
That's
it's that one. I remember someone...
Was that a sequel or a remaster? I don't understand.
I think they just redid the game, because I think it came out on N64 originally.
But Conker's Bad Fur Day is also on Xbox. I have it.
I don't know.
It's
Anyway,
a rare replay.
so it's Conker Live and Reloaded, Jade Empire, SSX3,
Nice.
which is a good one,
Nice.
Blinks the Cat, or is it
Apparently that game is cool.
Hunter the Reckoning, that's a terrible name,
Yeah.
Panzer Dragoon Onyx, Star Wars,
Cool.
Star Wars KOTOR,
KOTOR.
2, KOTOR 2 specifically, Star Wars Battlefront and Battlefront 2, Jedi Knights, Jedi
good ones?
Academy, yes, the good Battlefront and Battlefront 2. Battlefront 2 on PC has a fan-run online that can still support 120 people in a server.
Yeah, I actually own it. I
Yeah,
played it
so do
a couple
I.
years ago.
It's so much better than anything.
Yeah.
Like 120
Yeah, it is.
real people playing against each other is amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, Star Wars Jedi Fighter, Star Wars Republic Commando, Mercenaries Playground of Destruction. I played that when I was younger. Destroy All Humans. I played that when I was younger. That's good.
Yeah, those are great.
MX Unleashed, which looks like it's a motocross game. I've never played it. I can't read that one. Something Warrior and Panzer Elite Action.
It's a funny name. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, it sounds a bit like a porno.
Yeah.
That might be why.
Panzer Elite Action.
Yes. For people who like their tanks, great. So those games are coming to Xbox One to be able to be played. I would recommend, out of that list, Destroy All Humans, Star Wars Battlefront 2, KOTOR, and SSX. Those are from personal experience.
I would recommend those as well. MX Unleashed from personal experience, and then from what I've heard, Jedi Knight 2 is one of the best lightsaber games of all time, if I'm remembering correctly. It's like the most realistic one ever. Like people still play it to this day. Conquer, I think Conquer's supposed to be good. Morrowind, obviously. And then Jade Empire is apparently fantastic. It was like BioWare's like thing.
Oh, is it like that?
KOTOR, if I'm not mistaken.
Cool.
Yeah, apparently Jade Empire is also like worth playing to this day. Like fantastic game.
I will point out there's a lot of Star Wars on that list. That's 6 Star Wars games.
Yeah,
to be fair, though,
I think those are all fantastic, though. I'm pretty sure all of those are fantastic.
Star Wars games. I think. Do you know what it's to do with those? Because the Han Solo film is coming out next month.
Oh yeah. Yeah, in May. What the fuck is that?
So everyone forgets that exists because it doesn't matter.
It has a cool cast, though.
Yes. Mostly.
Yes, it does.
That's a thing. So those games are coming. Oh, by the way, breaking-ish news. As we're speaking, What Remains of Edith Finch won the BAFTA for Best Game.
I still need to play that, but that's awesome.
Yes, well done to that game. Anyway, back to Xbox. Also, the list of Xbox One Enhanced games is having a few 360 titles.
Xbox One X Enhanced.
I'll piss off.
Mind you.
Yes. The even more expensive piece of shit.
Cheaper than buying a gaming PC right now, though.
Most things are.
Yeah.
The Xbox One X is having a list of 360 games which are going to be enhanced. These include Darksiders. Is that 1 or 2?
Nice. I think that's 2.
I think that's 2 as well.
I'm pretty sure 1 is already enhanced.
I think that's Gears of War 3. That looks like the cover of 3.
Is it Marcus holding a Lancer? Actually, they're all Marcus holding a Lancer. No, that's 2.
That's 2, okay.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about Gears of War, so I wouldn't know.
Hey,
Sonic
2 and 3 are fantastic. The rest aren't worth it.
If you say so. Sonic Generations, Star Wars The Force Unleashed, Portal 2, and Red Dead Redemption. Good.
So all of those are pretty great games, except for, I guess, Force Unleashed is alright. That's just really funny to see that thrown in there.
I really don't know why that's there. It's like not particularly well received at the time, if I remember rightly.
Yeah. Like, it was fine. Like, it was fun, but like, for only a couple of hours. It was also abysmally short.
Oh.
Both of them were super short.
Well, to be fair, you're playing as a guy called Starkiller, who can literally just use the Force to do basically anything. So... Do
you know the story, though? It's actually really cool.
Isn't it like... Yeah,
or it could have been cool.
He's like a clone. He's not a clone. He's like made by Darth Vader to be the ultimate apprentice. And then he turns on him because that's how it always works on the dark side.
Yeah, and like that's fucking cool. You turn against fucking Darth Vader. But yeah,
it was an idea that could have worked, but just didn't because it didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, Portal 2. If you've not played Portal 2, go play that. But why buy it on Xbox when you can buy it on PC and have a better experience? And even like now, even if you've just got a sort of couple of year old normal PC.
Yeah, the thing can run on anything.
Yeah, because that game is super old, so it doesn't really need to be enhanced as such. It still looks fine, regardless of what you're playing it on. Red Dead Redemption, I've actually seen a screenshot of
Looks
on the
beautiful.
enhanced. It does look a lot better, so that I understand.
Plus, it's only available. It's not available on PC, so this is the best place. To Yeah.
It still annoys me.
Yeah,
Fuck
I don't
you,
really get it.
Rockstar. Fuck you. Fuck you for holding that whole franchise to ransom on the
That
shitty
whole one game.
consoles when I want it on a bloody PC that I paid like $2,000 for. Fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm
Fuck off.
not bitter. Not at all.
Not at all.
Not drinking at all.
Hey. Hey, the second one will probably come to it.
Yeah.
He would probably.
No, it won't. I genuinely don't think it will. Yeah, that's a good.
I think it will. After GTA 5, dude, GTA 5
This
just
is
hit more
true,
sales
yeah.
than any. Did you see that?
Yeah.
It hit more sales than any other piece of like entertainment.
Yeah, it's literally
Ever.
the highest selling piece of entertainment, higher than any film or book. I don't
That's
know whether that's
insane.
amazing or not, but, you know. I did
I
enjoy
think it's a
GTA.
cultural phenomenon.
Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy GTA 5 as a thing.
Yeah. I will say though, I'm sure that those numbers are a bit skewed because think about how many people bought it on multiple platforms and shit.
Me, mind you, I didn't buy it from Rockstar on multiple platforms.
I don't think that matters.
No, because it's still units sold, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it with my Xbox 360 when I bought it. Oh, there's a story about that. I got my Xbox 360 with, I think, 2 controllers. One of them was shit, but anyway. 2 controllers and 4 games for £30.
What the fuck? That's like obscenely cheap, isn't
I
it?
know!
That's like what?
GTA 5 was only about a year and a half old at the time as well. I have no idea why they were
So
selling
the other
that so
consoles
cheap.
were already out, weren't they? Wasn't the Xbox
They
One
were
out?
no, the
then?
Xbox One was coming out when I got my
Okay.
360. But like literally, GTA 5 had only been out for like 18 months, and I got that for 30 quid, and I was just like, huh, okay.
Ah,
I kind of looked into that. I was pretty pleased.
yeah.
Ah,
That's
good.
probably one of the most fantastic deals I've ever fucking heard of.
Yep.
Wow. Congrats.
Yeah, that's pretty great. I still got it. It's in my living room. Not GTA 5. I think I've got rid
Nice.
of every game that I got with it. But oh well. Right, yeah. There's a load of games coming to Xbox, and might keep you on board if you're not thinking of jumping ship already.
Actually, adoption rates have been much higher because of
It
Game Pass.
really took me a second to think about what you meant there. I thought you literally just went completely off topic. Lots of children have been adopted recently. Oh, that's nice. Really
Congrats.
confused me. Good lord.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, yes, Xbox. Getting games. Great. Moving on. How have we talked for 41 minutes?
I don't know.
What the hell? Steam Spy. Steam Spy, a useful resource used by many pundits and other people who actually want to know things about the gaming industry, is effectively dead.
It's kind of sad. It's like the end of an era.
It is. In fact, I'm actually going to change my Steam privacy settings just out of habit. Because of a change in Steam's privacy settings, they made it so that everyone's it means that all of your games, what you own, what you've wishlisted, and whatever playtime and achievements is now hidden by default to people that aren't on your friends list.
Why?
I don't fucking know. I
That's
really
weird.
don't understand why that's a thing that needs to be hidden. But anyway, yeah, that's the thing that's
Kind of
happened.
defeats the point.
I know. What is the fucking point? Why? What difference does this make to anybody?
Yeah.
Other
it's
than
really,
Steam Spy,
really weird.
because it's just effectively shut Steam Spy down because they can't do anything anymore because they have no data at all.
Pretty much.
I don't see what is wrong with you people. You've just
Yeah,
shut
dude, I
down
don't know.
the
Valve
most
is
useful
just-
resource for PC gamers and pundits.
Valve has literally just like fallen from grace, dude. I don't even.
Oh, they did that years ago.
I mean, no, I know, but I'm just saying, like, it's just I don't even like care about their name anymore. Like, I don't know what's going on. I really don't. They say they're working on things still, and I just feel like anything they come out with won't even be good anymore.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, I don't even. It's turned into like almost EA in a very different sense, but like in terms of like I hear the name and I just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I just instantly don't care.
It's like, oh, it's Valve, okay. Yeah, literally, I just checked. The game details section on your privacy settings. This category includes a list of all your games on your Steam account, whether you've wishlisted your achievements, and whether you're seen as in-game, and the title of the game you're playing. Now defaults, instead of to public, it defaults to friends only.
Weird.
Yeah, but this means that the best sort of aggregator for the industry should go, hey, look, this game's had a massive drop-off in players, or hey, this game's doing really well at the moment. This game's got a lot of concurrent players. It's had a lot of sales this week. It's got a massive amount of total players. Is now useless. And because the games industry doesn't, like, none of the developers or the publishers give us any metrics at all, we don't have anything now.
Yay!
So yeah, in a tweet, Steam Spy's Sergey Galyokin, I just, butchered that, but oh well.
Same.
Said, Valve just made a change to their privacy settings, making games owned by Steam users hidden by default. Steam Spy relies on this information being visible and by default won't be able to operate anymore. To reiterate, it's not because of the new privacy settings, it's just because Steam made everyone's gaming library hidden by default. A thing that wasn't in their blog post.
What the fuck?
What's the fucking point of this? I don't understand how this is helping anything.
Dude, I don't know. This has just summed up my thoughts on the gaming industry lately, to be honest, though. It's just been like...
Well, how is this
why?
helping anything?
Yeah, what is the point? Why is this a thing? It's just, I don't know. It's kind of annoying now. Like, I still want to play games and talk about them, but I kind of don't really want to be a part of the industry anymore. Much. To be completely honest with you.
I'll take your E3
like, a lot of
place.
it's just petty. I mean, yeah. But it's like, I want to go to, like, talk to, like, the people I've made friends with and everything, but I'm not really excited about, like, the conferences and things anymore. I'm just really not.
No.
Like, you have Xbox sitting there just going like, oh, this is going to be the greatest show we've ever had. It's like, no, it's not. First of all, it's just not. Like, why are you saying this?
It's not.
Look at
Don't lie to me.
Your business model is literally Game Pass now. And it's like, your business model is literally going
That's
to be
what they're going to
just
push at E3. It's literally just
Yeah.
Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass. Look at
Yeah.
the Game
No,
Pass.
you're-
Buy the Game Pass.
Yeah, your business model is literally just like targeting people, like, not necessarily casuals, but like people who, but like kind of is at the same time.
The people who don't care enough.
Yeah, the people who like play games regularly, but like don't go past that, which is like fine, but like what about everyone else?
Yeah. Just, this is just shit.
Yeah.
It's very,
Yeah.
as you say, very indicative of the industry. So.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And it's all, like, communities are pretty petty nowadays too. Like, gamers are fucking annoying. I don't know. That's kind of a different topic, but like, man, it's just annoying now. It is not what it was even like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just they just because Steam Spy was operating not as a company, but it had a Patreon to support itself. Bloody hell, it was bringing in a lot of money.
Really?
$7,000 a month, apparently.
Holy shit!
I know. So this guy did actually make.
Literally, he didn't have to do anything.
He was making a living out of this.
Yeah.
And now he's not.
By far.
Oh yeah.
Like not even by a small like by a lot.
Yeah. Literally though.
That's really shitty.
Yeah, they just put him out of business effectively because he's going to shut down his Patreon. Because he said he feels it's unfair to charge people for access to past information without anything new going in.
Makes sense.
Because, like he said, nothing that he could do would be anywhere near as precise as what he used to be able to do. So what's the point?
That's $84,000 a year. That he was making off of that.
Yeah.
That is more than, like,
that's more than
99% of people I know.
Yeah, it is indeed. So, yeah, it's...
What the hell?
It's...
And that's not me complaining that he made that.
No,
that's fine.
you know, people,
like, good for him.
People want to donate that to him. That's only from 470 people.
Wow. I'm just saying it's shitty that Steam, like, just ripped that out from him.
Oh, yeah, that's really not fair. Just, you know.
That's so shitty.
Another reason to say fuck you, Valve.
Yeah.
Because as if we needed any
shame.
more of those.
Yep.
Anyway.
Such is the world we're in right now.
Yeah. So, anyway, unless that changes, you know, Steam Spy's dead, and we'll have no industry metrics at all. So there, basically. And
enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy, and let's move on to the final story. PUBG is suing some people. I did a news video that I was really excited about, and nobody watched it. Basically, because we've been talking for a while, what I'm going to do, Max, is tell you the things that the PUBG developers are using in their 155-page lawsuit against against a Chinese developer to justify why their games are infringing on PUBG's trademark and copyright. And I would like you to tell me whether or not you think these are bullshit, one by one.
I have a feeling I'm going to think so, but...
So let us start with the use of a frying pan as a melee weapon.
You mean Left 4 Dead?
You mean Team Fortress 2?
Yeah, what?
Yeah. Literally, though, in the legal document it says, no other shooter games used a frying pan as a melee weapon before Battlegrounds. It's like...
Wait, what?
That's proof.
No, there has to be more to this. That's literally false.
What they said, and it's provably false.
That is literally false.
Yeah, it really is. So well done there, guys. It's a good start. Good start to your lawsuit there.
There's nothing more to that claim.
No,
you're joking.
That is literally what they're claiming.
All right. Great start.
Yeah. So, the second thing. There is a gun in this other game that looks very much...
Oh, God.
I know. That looks very much like one of the guns in PUBG. It's pretty similar. It's got some fairly, it's pretty similar aesthetically. However...
It's a gun.
It's a gun, and they both look very, very, very similar to the real-life gun, the AR-15, which I'm sure a lot of people are now very familiar with.
Oh, yeah.
So, can they actually prove that they weren't just taking inspiration from the AR-15, and instead of copying this generic-looking gun?
I mean, yeah, probably. I'm sure PUBG did the same thing.
Yeah,
That's
sure
another
they did.
thing
I'm
that's
sure they
in
took
almost
it from a
every shooter
fucking
to ever
armor
exist.
because that's what they're originally a mod of.
Yeah. Well. Wait, PUBG was a mod?
It was originally an armor mod, and then it changed engine.
I did not know that.
Well, now
That's
you
very
do.
cool, actually.
Yes. Okay, so that's, obviously not really a thing.
Bullshit.
Yep. Thing the third. You know that in PUBG they use the phrase winner, winner, chicken dinner for the winner of a game?
Yep.
Well, the people
God.
the people at Bluehole seem to think that the use of a rubber chicken as a melee weapon in this other game constitutes them copying and trying to make money off of the winner winner chicken dinner phrase, despite the fact the only similarity in that is chicken, and literally everything else is completely different.
I don't know.
Doesn't make a lot of
I
sense.
don't know what to say to that.
Doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? There's almost no connection at all.
No. Yeah, that's a bit of a stretch there.
Yeah, a little bit.
I have a feeling that sums up the entire thing, but let's keep going just for fun. I'd love to hear more.
Thing the fourth. YouTubers using clickbaity titles such as PUBG on mobile and PUBG but X in their videos somehow means that this developer are somehow infringing on trademark because YouTubers are doing clickbait titles.
Oh, what about PUBG versus Fortnite in every YouTube video ever?
Yeah, or what about literally saying anything and then it being something ever so slightly different? I made the point.
Honestly, this is hilarious.
I know. It's like if I made a video saying, "Look at this can of Coke," and I showed a can of Pepsi, that doesn't mean Coca-Cola can sue Pepsi. It doesn't work like that.
Well, apparently it does.
No,
but apparently you're wrong.
Apparently so, but that's genuinely not how it works.
This is literally just like someone walked out and just started saying shit. This is like Trump.
Yeah.
This is literally like Trump.
To be fair, Bluehole have a record of this bullshit. Like, they're
No,
not...
I know.
They're not owned by the most sane people in the world.
I mean, I remember the Fortnite bullshit.
Yeah.
I tried suing them for using their engine. But...
I know. Thing the fifth, and possibly the most semi-okay but still not really okay thing, the use of a plane drop to drop into the map at the start of a game.
Okay, but Fortnite.
Yeah, okay,
but Fortnite's a bus.
Yeah, but it's still a pretty generic thing to say that you have a copyright over. Like, that's a very sweeping thing to say you've got copyright over.
Yeah, and that's been in other games, I'm sure. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but
to a point, you
Fortnite.
can think of any modern military shooter where they start, the first mission starts in a helicopter or something.
Well, that's story-based. I'm talking multiplayer. Actually, Battlefield does that sometimes. Battlefield has totally done that.
Oh, well, there you go, then.
In missions. You can totally do that, I remember. You can, because remember, you could do a squad deploy, you can literally throw it down. It's an item that you can use. You throw it down and your squad can spawn on it.
Well, it doesn't belong to them anymore. It belongs to Bluehole. So,
Wow.
Fuck you.
Fuck EA then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, let's have EA come
Go and sue EA Bluehole. We'll see how far that'll get you.
Yeah. You can't target one specific game for this
especially
shit. You can't do that.
Especially in the sense of the whole YouTubers thing, because they're using that as a trademark violation.
That doesn't make any sense.
Which means they have to go after so many people, because if you're saying trademark, and that's...
They have to go after us.
Yeah, they have to go after so many people, because they're like, oh, that's... you've used this as evidence of trademark infringement, but it's being used in other places over here, but you're not pursuing them, so that's bullshit. You have to...
Yeah, they're just going after someone smaller than them.
Like, you have to defend your trademark. Legally, you have to, otherwise you can't keep it. From
They literally-
that's
they
not
didn't
you can't
think this through at all.
selectively defend it either. You have to defend it constantly.
Apparently
Anyway.
you don't.
No, anyway, so Thing the Sixth. The idea of a game having a pre-game lobby is apparently something that they own.
What?
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Oh my god.
TF2 had one
This
of
is
those.
amazing. This is amazing.
Mm,
You're making this up.
no.
This is amazing.
Pretty
Wow.
pretty weird, isn't it?
I think I could use better words than weird.
Mm. Insane?
Trash.
Mm.
No, yeah. All of the above.
Thing the Seventh. A warehouse.
You know, I've definitely fought in a warehouse in Fortnite before.
I've definitely played a lot of games that have had warehouses in them.
Really, have you?
Half-Life
Can't
2,
say
for
I
an
have.
example. You're gonna go and
I
see
cannot
Valve
tell
then,
you
are
the
you?
last warehouse I saw in a game.
Seriously though, the amount of games that contain a fucking warehouse, the ones that they're comparing don't even look anywhere near the same. And it's the most generic
just
thing
be-
in the world.
Can we just make this the whole episode? Just like talking, just going through the list.
Thing the Eighth.
Because this is hilarious.
A shipping container.
Wow.
Yeah, go after literally every like military shooter
Asset.
because they all have a dock, like a scene in a dock somewhere with a shipping container in it. You cannot make a shipping container artistically distinct enough to be your own copyright. Are you fucking kidding me?
That's hilarious.
And finally,
There's no way they can think this is like that they can do this.
well, clearly
This
they can.
baffles me. Snowy, this baffles me. I'm having a hard time believing
Oh, trust me, it baffles me as well. And finally, the last thing of note, I'm sure there are many more things, but this is the last thing of note. The particular style of map that is being used.
What does that even mean?
Right, this isn't very clear. It's one of two things. It's either the specific actual map of the game that they're using, in which case it's a generic island surrounded by water and they don't look the same, so no, you don't get that. Or it's the mini-map that they're using, the style of mini-map, which is a sort of, there's like top-down, I said topographical in my news video, but that's not the way. It's like a satellite map, like on Google Maps. It's the satellite map,
Okay.
where it's like you can see
That makes sense.
the green of the hills and everything else like that. That type of
Right.
map is apparently now owned by Bluehole. I couldn't count.
Bluehole's
on-
about to be the next Apple.
I know. I couldn't count on all of my limbs the amount of games that have got that style of map in it. Like just
Apparently they can.
all of the Just Cause games. Just Cause 3 had that in.
It's a fucking island.
Yeah, it.
GTA, for that matter, probably.
Yes, that it did have that style of like in-game map in it. Help me
Whatever,
understand
dude.
this because I don't understand.
I am trying, dude. I am trying.
I-
You know, literally before this podcast, I was talking to my friends in our group chat. We were just kind of talking about the state of the world and everything, and just like how there's a lot of dumb shit going on, and now I have to deal with this. Snowy, you're making me not want to live here anymore. Like this is just ridiculous.
It is.
And a lot of my point was like the world needs to stop going after one another, and like people need to like kind of band together because it's kind of tiring. Like everyone's a fucking villain now to one another, but this is just
bullshit.
This is petty. This is oh my god. I don't even have words. I really don't have words.
Oh. Well,
Nothing I can say can like make this any better. It's there. It exists and it shouldn't, and yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing that's happening. It's really shitty, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. Just a bit.
Yeah. So yeah, Bluehole are still a shit company, and
Yep.
on that unsurprising note, it brings us quite nicely to the end of the show. Thank you very much for watching this episode of the GameCast Newscast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like, subscribe, or share whenever you fancy, and our social links are in the description with a link to our Discord to join in some chat with all of us. And stay tuned if you're not listening to the broadcast for it on 12 p.m. CST on a Saturday. We've had a couple of weeks where we've just sort of been a bit light on content. That's due to holidays or just people burning out. But we should be back to normal now. Anyway, I'd like to thank, as normal, my co-host Max.
Oh, you're very welcome for this one.
And yeah, I'm hoping to have a guest again next week. I don't know who, but maybe
Height might be back.
Maybe Height, or maybe we'll
she's interested.
Maybe we'll get someone else on. I'll send out some messages. But if you are watching this and would like to be a guest on this podcast, because we are still a very small channel and we are nowhere near the lofty heights to be denying people, please join our Discord and send one of us a message. As always, I have been Snowy.
We'd be happy to have you.
Exactly. As always, I have been Snowy, that has been Max, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
I'll still be Max. Goodbye, everyone.
When would you not be Max?
I don't know, you said that has been me, as if I'm not me anymore.
Dun dun dun.
Late to the broadcast and miss your favorite show? Fear not, we've got you covered. The GameCast YouTube channel contains all of your past and present shows on demand for you to view at a time of your convenience. The space also serves as a portal of sorts for you to discover what your favorite GameCast personalities are creating outside of the GameCast world. Simply click the link below for the past and present on demand, with a side bonus of content from your favorite GameCast personalities.
Split Screen is a show where we pick a certain topic within the current gaming climate and provide two differing opinions on that topic while trying to reach some sort of compromise. I'm your host Max, also known as Maximal.
And I'm Mark, also known as Koistorch. For example, I might say that yearly franchise releases are slowly killing the industry,
While I might say that yearly releases keep the franchise relevant while something bigger is worked on in the background.
Of course, we also encourage feedback and want your thoughts on the day's topic, and future topics you'd like us to tackle as well.
Ready, fight!
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Split Screen, the show where we take two differing opinions, argue them, and try and find a spot where we can kind of come to a consensus on the opinion. As always, I am joined by my co-host Mark. How's it going, Mark?
I'm good, thanks. I'm ready, rested. I'm ready and rested. That's all you need to know.
Fair point. Well, today we are going to be talking about sort of the trend that we've seen in a lot of AAA games where the single player content is kind of half-assed just to get to the multiplayer side of things, versus that there are still a bunch of brilliant single player experiences. Single player is not dying, and that the people doing these half-assed pieces of content, they're just an exception to the standard rule. So, Mark, would you like to go first and talk about some of the brilliant single-player experiences you think that we've gotten in the past couple of years?
Yeah, so I think that single player has always had a home, or even though it has been sort of like split over time. But yeah, it has. And the major single player experiences are those that eclipse the entire market and sort of like get everyone to sit up and take notice. And I think that everyone will agree that The Witcher 3 in recent memory was that sort of incredible experience that it's like, it doesn't even need to mention multiplayer at all. Like, that experience is perfect. That thing just nails every single note, perfect story, perfect characters. great world building. But even though that was probably, it's like 2-3 years old now, it doesn't even feel like it. But one of the sort of, two of the major experiences, no, I'm counting wrong. 3 of the major experiences last year were Horizon Zero Dawn, because that could pretty much only be accomplished as a single player experience. It wouldn't really work multiplayer.
Right.
Persona 5, which was probably the most accessible Persona to date and really, really strong single player. And Nier Automata, which, take it or leave it, because it's one of those ones where if it doesn't click immediately, it won't click later. But that was an incredibly special game, and it's one of those things where it can only be accomplished in single player, except for one secret later on in the game. And so those 4 or 3 games, depending on if you're doing very recent memory or not, is pretty much my argument for that single player will always have a home, and will always be that sort of thing that people can whole ass if they want to. Even if, say, 20 other developers half-ass something, if one developer whole-asses it, it'll be something special. And hopefully,
and you're saying that, oh, sorry.
And hopefully, like, the new God of War will sort of follow suit in that.
Okay, well, on my side of the argument, then, we have, games. We have like Battlefront 2 or the Battlefield games, for example, EA, thrown in there. For example, I remember when Battlefront 1 came out, everyone was really mad that there was no single-player campaign or anything like that, just like we had in the first original games back on the PlayStation 2. So with Battlefront 2, they brought in a single-player campaign that, from what I remember, I didn't play the game because I didn't want to support it, but from what I remember hearing, the single-player wasn't very long, and it was pretty lackluster, pretty mundane, and just pretty much a stripped-down version of the multiplayer that we get from Battlefront 2. So I guess the argument there is that people say they want these single-player experiences, but is it worth having these half-ass single-player experiences when, at the end of the day, everyone is going to be jumping towards the multiplayer in the first place? Like, EA is not really focusing on single-player experiences anymore. That's a fact, that's not even... They've stated that they're not going to be doing that anymore. So I think that kind of expecting them to be implementing these single-player experiences is kind of not something we should be doing, and I think that if we demand these single-player experiences, we're going to be getting these half-assed ones, like Battlefront 2, like Battlefield, etc., etc. I know Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was apparently another game that didn't really have good single-player experiences, which is a shame, because aren't those games, like, known for, like, kind of having dope stories?
No, they are. They're known for just tongue-in-cheek stupid stuff. And
I always thought that people like highly regarded them.
No, the Injustice storylines are the ones where they...
I know Injustice.
Where they do it. Marvel vs. Capcom has always half-assed its story, but in a very fun way.
Okay.
So it's like Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was very aware that it's silly, it's comic booky, it's just all this stuff. So they said, here's like a comic opens up where all of the worlds clash all together, and it's super, super silly and super crazy. But Infinite was like, let's put real dark themes into this really goofy premise.
Right.
And then it just did not go well.
Fair point.
But like, for this sort of like half-assing to do multiplayer, but half-assing the story because people want a story, do you think that trend's there to stay? Or do you think that people are going to wake up and realize that they can just do multiplayer? They don't need to bother. Like Monster Hunter World is a good example where they did put story, but it's more just cutscenes to punctuate what's going on. But that could have gone straight, no story at all. They could have just said, here's a monster killer.
Yeah. And the game wouldn't have been changed at all. Well, I guess I do feel like that's going to stay, because honestly, every time we hear about a multiplayer only game, everyone kind of complains that it's multiplayer only. I remember that even happened with the original Titanfall. But to be fair, with Titanfall 2, they kind of remedied that and built a kick-ass campaign, which is surprising, but that doesn't happen often. And I feel like if the vision of the developers is to create a multiplayer experience, they shouldn't be like quote unquote forced to make a single player experience if that just isn't what they want at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just feel like, because like even in Monster Hunter World, I wonder if those cutscenes were added in just to make the game more accessible. Because you and I have talked before on another episode of Split Screen that the game is kind of intended to appeal to more, not necessarily a casual audience, but more of like the audience that isn't aware of the franchise. You know, it was made to be more accessible to bring these newer people in. So I feel like even it's almost insulting to them in a way to have like those half-assed ones. But it comes from people demanding that sort of stuff. It comes from people demanding single player experiences. You know, like even with Overwatch, people have been demanding that for a very long time, but I guess the reason there is because Blizzard has built such like an established lore, established world and everything like that people want to see more of. And I think that that's actually an interesting and very cool idea. I think it's interesting to have a multiplayer game first and have the lore crazy established and kind of have the fans like kind of demand single player and then craft it from there. I think that'd be interesting, but I feel like Blizzard is one of the only companies that can do that, to be fair.
So do you think that like using Titanfall is a really good example of that Titanfall 2, where it seemed like it would have been their choice very early in development to have a proper story mode. Do you think that the single player experience, or like the single player experience to accompany a multiplayer experience, should be a decision made very early, and it should be the developer's decision, not say the publishers? Because it seems like Battlefront 2 is one of those things where like, and Battlefield, you're not sure whose decision it was to include a story, but a story was included.
Right.
But
I'm going to say I feel like if it's half-assed, it's more the publisher.
Yeah.
I would definitely assume that. I mean, to be fair, half-assed can also mean like they ran out of time and money, or like they had to make changes or something like that, which is fair. But I feel like majority of the time, like even with Battlefront 2, I feel like that was more the like EA demanding that DICE create a single player experience because the fans were.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel like at the end of the day, if it's forced, if there's demand for it, whether it's the publisher that forces it or the developer doing it because the fans want to rather than because they want to, I feel like at the end of the day, it's going to be much harder to do. I think with Titanfall, they kind of had like a campaign in the first one. They had like story elements overarching multiplayer matches, which was interesting, I guess. It was a cool idea, it just wasn't fleshed out very well. But so I think they had sort of like a base idea they wanted to go off of, and they already established some lore to expand on. So it was cool they did that because they probably had the idea to do so already.
Yeah.
I don't think Titanfall 2 needed a single player campaign. It's cool that it got one, and it's cool that it was fantastic, but I really don't think it needed one. And I don't know. I feel like gamers can be just very demanding. Especially nowadays, and I feel like they just try and take control of these projects that, like, at the end of the day, it's the developer's vision and it's what they want to do. Yes, there needs to be some sort of balance between like the fans and the developers, like interests and loves and everything like that, but at the end of the day, it is the developer's project.
Yeah. But so like coming from that, what do you think of, say, my argument of where does the mainstay single player experience go? Because like there are fewer and fewer of these pure single player experiences. Do you think that they're here to stay in their sort of niche, or do you think they're going to have another sort of round or share the space with multiplayer half-assed story or just multiplayer versus single player games?
Oh no, I think that single player games, like pure single player games, I think those are here to stay. You know, people always say that single-player games are dying and everything like that, but we have a large amount of single-player games that still exist and come out every year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like even now we have like God of War that's coming. We have Kingdom Hearts 3. We have Insomniac's Spider-Man, which I guess isn't confirmed that it doesn't have multiplayer, but I don't think that it will.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I always forget about Spider-Man. Every single time someone brings it up, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. I want to play it.
Dude, that's like my most hyped game of the year besides Kingdom Hearts. But like, it's also interesting because you can throw the other side of the coin. There's half-assed multiplayer.
Yeah.
Like, think of the Comrades DLC in Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
Like, that was pretty lackluster. It was pretty pointless. It came, a year after the game originally released, and it's a giant single-player open-world RPG.
Yeah.
If people wanted to play multiplayer Final Fantasy, they'd play the MMO.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and that can also be said. Like, I know that the Tomb Raider multiplayer modes are alright, but it's a game that doesn't need it.
Right. Was multiplayer in the second game? Did they drop it for the second game?
I think that they dropped it for the second game, but they had a sort of online-ish mode. It was like a challenge mode thing. But in terms of PvP, that was only the first game.
Right. Yeah, because I remember the first one, the multiplayer kind of died out pretty quickly.
Because it was just oh yeah, it's similar to the Uncharted style of multiplayer matches, and Uncharted's also another game where it doesn't need multiplayer. Its story can speak for itself.
Apparently, people really liked that multiplayer.
Yeah, it's fun, but it's just I never want in a single player experience. I never want the multiplayer to detract from dev time to the single player. I know that usually they split the dev team for that, and so technically right at the beginning it was never a shared load, but still you did split the dev team right at the beginning.
Well, that is interesting, and it's we also have cases like Mass Effect 3, where Mass Effect 3 introduced multiplayer, and it actually, I don't know, I enjoyed it a lot. I think the general consensus was that it was actually pretty cool and pretty interesting, but I don't think that made any effect on the single player at all. So I feel like if you have the resources and you really have a good idea, sure, branch for multiplayer. But at the end of the day, people that demand for it, they're going to get a half-assed experience 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. So it almost seems as well that it goes one way and not the other, where a single player experience can have a pretty good multiplayer experience, but a multiplayer experience can have a half-assed single player more often than not.
Yes.
More often than not, because Titanfall pulled off something pretty good. But
yeah, they did. Well, that you're right, because also how often does something launch multiplayer only?
Yeah.
Titanfall is one of the only examples, and Overwatch is another one. That's still a fairly new trend. Which is interesting. And then you see... So you're right, there are more examples of that.
And then you're seeing multiplayer-only games changing their gameplay systems constantly. Fortnite was the zombie survival, and now it's the battleground style, and Paladins is doing the same.
Right. I'm still mad that Fortnite PvE is good shit. Y'all need to check that out still. But, no, yeah, you're right. Fortnite. And just service-based games in general. They're just becoming more and more of a thing. Even, Destiny, we can even use as an example. Destiny 1, the campaign was trash. I think there was so much that went on with that game, though. Development issues and stuff like that we still don't fully know. And, I mean, I enjoyed Destiny 2's campaign when it first came out. But, honestly, looking back, I think I only enjoyed it compared to the first one. It was still pretty lackluster in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that also kind of came from player demand, because it's a similar thing with Overwatch, where they built up this fantastic world, all this lore that you could actually access in the first one. It just took a lot of work with Grimoire cards and everything, but it was still accessible. So in 2, they could have expanded on it without necessarily that campaign per se. They probably could have done it better in that way too, with just raids and stuff like that. They could have much more story focused raids and strikes and everything like that, and maybe not just have single player missions. But I don't know, that's kind of another thing entirely.
Yeah, it's hard when lore, when a game has expansive lore, the developers want you to explore that lore, and so they try to wedge it into the game, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but in Destiny's case, it feels like they're trying to wedge it in. But in Overwatch's case, they're kind of oh yeah, there's just these little nods to things. But if you want the further reading, here's this anthology of comics and backstories and things like that. They you do this outside of the game. We don't want to ruin the experience itself.
Right. That could be a whole nother argument in and of itself. Should lore be implemented in game, or are these external experiences better off?
I mean, Halo 5 could be a really good example of this single player multiplayer bridge, as well as the sort of outside lore.
Right. Yeah, Halo 5 is an experience. Halo has always been known for having great single player and multiplayer. It's one of those exceptions, especially with Halo 3 and Reach and everything. And then to a degree 4, a lot of people didn't like 4's multiplayer, which I kind of get, but I still think 4's multiplayer was a tier above a lot of other games that came out at that time. However, jump to Halo 5, where I remember, because people shout on Halo 4's multiplayer, Halo 5's multiplayer, they were like, oh, we're bringing in professional players to design arenas and help us with everything so that it's perfect. And we were like, cool, okay, I assume the single player is going to be fine. Since it always is, I didn't even have to, ask about it. But they've spent so much time focusing on the brilliant multiplayer. Halo 5's multiplayer is fantastic. But the single player was just a convoluted mess. It is the only... I'm a massive Halo fan. It's the only Halo campaign I haven't replayed. It literally, they threw away everything that they established in 4 for the most part. It was entirely half-assed. They added some cool verticality and stuff, but I feel like that kind of came from they wanted to add it in multiplayer, so they did, and then they were like, all right, we'll throw it in single player too, but it's not going to be very good. And I don't know, it's just frustrating to me because you're right, it's that focus on multiplayer is kind of ruining a lot of single player experiences in a way. And I feel like Halo 5 is a big example of that. So they say with 6 they'll fix it, but we'll see. We'll see on that one.
I think it probably boils down to if a game has multiplayer and if a game has single player in accompaniment to its multiplayer, it should be a design decision from very early in the project and a design decision from the developers. Because if it's half-assed and if it's forced, because if the publisher says we need to have a story mode, and the developers don't want to have a story mode, even if they had a lot of time to do it, they still didn't want to do it, and it's probably going to turn out crap as a result.
Exactly.
And that's why the single player experience will always stay, the multiplayer experience will always stay, and we'll always have those sort of outliers that do something amazing with both.
Right.
But it's just that you don't force it.
Yep. It's kind of a shame. But such is the industry nowadays. Well, awesome, dude. I think that we've pretty much exhausted that topic. Good shit, as always. Well, thanks everyone for listening. As always, don't forget to leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Tell us what you think of the current state of the industry. Do you think single-player games are on their way out? Do you think that half-assed single-player is okay? Maybe as a tutorial for a game or something like that. Maybe half-assed single-player works for that. Maybe some people like that. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments down below. Don't forget to be checking out all other GameCast content. If you're watching the stream, get ready for whatever show is coming next. And Mark, thanks again for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, my dude. We will see y'all soon.
The GameCast Discord is the hub of the small world that is GameCast. It's a thriving community filled with gamers, GameCast personalities, and other miscellaneous people we somehow keep picking up along the way. We really don't know how to get rid of them. Not only will it keep you up to date and in the know on all things GameCast, but you will also find weekly gaming events, streams, and of course, a very salty Count Fracula, now also available in a low-sodium alternative. Coming up next, Game Changer. Explore the many weird and awesome ways you could be playing your favorite games. Hacks, mods, challenges, and glitches. Game Changer and your host Alex are sure to have it all.
What's up everyone, Alex here, and welcome back to Game Changer. This is where we explore weird and awesome ways to play games. If you're here for the Twitch stream, hello, hi. Might be a little bit weird because you're probably on YouTube right now, because that's where this video goes first. So either way, hello. We're looking for new members. We're always looking for members. Check out our Discord server, which is listed in the description below if you're on YouTube. Go on over there and check out what kind of positions we have. We have a channel just for position listings, so check that out. If you're interested, then hit us up sometime. Anyway, today we're looking at a Legend of Zelda fan game called Legend of Zelda: The Lost Hero, so let's get right into it. Hey, I'm going off script today. This is gonna be real fun. I've written no script. I've written nothing down because this is very last minute because I thought this game was super freaking cool. So this is a 2D, 3D hybrid sort of fan game that's kind of based on Link to the Past. It pulls most of the inspiration from that game. And it doesn't really give you any instructions or any storyline. It just kind of plops you into this temple, and then you go and adventure across the land as Zelda. You play as Zelda, and you can do dungeons and get power-ups and fight enemies and bosses just as if you were Link. Just like any other Legend of Zelda game, most other Legend of Zelda games, you can do the dungeons in any order that you want. You can go and venture off into the farthest reaches of the map and do the dungeons there, or do this first one, which is the first one's a water temple, by the way. So the graphics, I don't know how to describe the way that the graphics are. You play as a two-dimensional sprite. Just about everything, like enemies and items, are 2D sprites, but the environment kind of reminds me of like the mobile version of Minecraft. It's blocky and it's 3D, but it's also sort of a like a retro style, so it's kind of like a little hybrid game. So basically, you are free to do just about anything you want. You start off in the starting temple place here, and with no instructions or storyline, you just sort of go and complete dungeons, and you can collect these sort of emblems. I guess you're supposed to be saving the 7 sages and also Link and the 3 goddesses. There are placements where you can put these emblems when you collect them, or diamonds, or whatever you want to call them. And it actually takes a lot of time to complete these dungeons. It's not like you can go in and complete it in just a few minutes. It actually takes some thought. A lot of creativity and a lot of thought went into making these dungeons, and I like that. You can also explore other parts of the map. There's this sort of deserty area. There's a graveyard. There's like a little town. I don't know if it's Kakariko Village because you can't really talk to any NPCs. There's shops. You can go and buy items at shops, and you can collect money to save up for like armor, but other than that, it really doesn't give you any kind of instruction as to what to do, and it doesn't give you any sort of backstory. It just is. The map is definitely very reminiscent of Link to the Past, especially with the different terrains, like the desert and the woods and the different towns you can come across. Now, the game uses WASD controls, and you move the camera with the mouse, so your typical controls like any other PC game. And the mouse wheel scrolls through your items, so it's super easy to use your items. You don't have to like go to a pause menu and switch out your items. In fact, you can't even pause the game. You hit the escape key and it just quits out of the window. It does autosave. Every time you go in and out of a place, it autosaves. So it's really intuitive for a fan game, and more intuitive than most actual Legend of Zelda games. And I think that is pretty awesome. I had a lot of fun playing this. My intention was to play this on my channel as a sort of, showcase for new Game Jolt games that I found this week. And I usually just have like one single episode, and I'll be like, okay, well, I tried this out. Go to this game in the description and download it for yourself. But instead, I ended up turning it into an entire series, and I played like 3 more episodes. So if you want to see me later on in this month, I believe starting on the 17th, I'm going to be doing this series. Also, I had to look this up in the middle of recording because I swear I remember this game had a sequel, but actually this game that I'm playing is the sequel. There is a very similar game called Zelda: The Long Road Home, and you play as Link, and it's the same exact concept. So if you want to play that one first, check it out. But I mean, they're basically both the same game. There's dungeons and there's adventuring and there's like a fully fleshed out map. So I mean, play either one of these, you'll definitely enjoy them. Also, before I forget, I have to ask the question, what's your favorite way to play? Use the hashtag on screen or go to my Discord server and I have a channel just for answering that question. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more content like this, head on over to the GameCast YouTube channel and see what we're doing over there. We've got news, reviews, podcasts, let's plays. We're doing some awesome stuff. And also check out my channel. I'm playing this game and also a Paper Mario No Badge run, so if you're into that, go check that out. Anyway, I am signing off for now. See you later.
Are you on the fence about a game? Maybe your friends are unhelpful and your family doesn't care? Well, we do. Come check out our reviews of games, new and old, even mods to spice things up. Gaming pastime, gaming reviews.
Hey there, my name is Max and I'm team leader of the review space here at GameCast. Our game reviews provide an in-depth look at the latest and greatest games as well as some of our favorites from over the years. Stay tuned for this week's reviews and impressions up next.
What's up everyone, my name is Mike and welcome to another GameCast Rewind. Today I'll be taking a look at Secret of Mana, a Super Nintendo game that we played on an SNES Classic. Enjoy! I believe the Mana series started with Final Fantasy Adventure, released in 1991. Before this review, I had never played any game in this series. Developed and published by Square, Secret of Mana was released for the Super Nintendo in October 1993. For this review, we played the Super Nintendo version on the SNES Classic. Yes, Jeremy and I played through the entire game cooperatively thanks to the easy drop-in, drop-out multiplayer. Depending on who you ask, Secret of Mana may be considered one of the best Super Nintendo games of all time, and some say it's one of the more influential RPGs in history. So let's take a look at Secret of Mana and see how it holds up after all these years. I would say Secret of Mana is an action RPG. I guess you could say it's a party-based action RPG. Once the other characters team up with the boy, you can switch between each character at will, and what's really cool is that up to 2 other players can jump in at any time as any character and drop out whenever. You can run, sprint, and attack with weapons or use magic. You slay monsters, which always seem to grant you money. Fallen monsters can drop chests that reveal items or even traps. The game isn't really focused on loot, but some of the stronger gear is only available as random drops from specific enemies, which will probably lead to a lot of grinding. You can spend the money at vendors to buy armor and restorative items. As you progress, you acquire new weapons, and there's actually only a handful in the game. However, you can acquire weapon orbs that can be brought to a specific blacksmith that will use the orbs to upgrade the weapons, making them more powerful. These upgrades actually transform the weapons into entirely different ones. For example, the whip can become a flail and the boomerang can become a chakram. The orbs are usually acquired by defeating bosses, but they can also be found in chests. Each weapon has 8 orbs, but there's a glitch to acquire a 9th sword orb, which will make it extremely powerful and make the final boss battle less tedious. Characters can also level up their weapon skills, meaning weapons level up independently for each character as you use them. You can charge up your attacks to do more damage, and with each new level raises how many charges you can build up. As you slay monsters, you gain experience, and when you earn enough experience, you level up. All 3 characters will acquire experience simultaneously. Each character has a variety of stats that increase with each level, like strength, agility, wisdom, and defense, among others, and these stats technically affect how the characters perform in battle. For the most part, all 3 of our characters remained close in level throughout the entire game. If a character dies, they won't acquire any experience until they're revived. Reviving a character can be accomplished by one of 3 ways: using the Cup of Wishes item during gameplay, using the appropriate magic spell, or sleeping at an inn, which will cost you some gold. On your quest to save the world, you'll meet elementals that grant you different magical powers. The boy receives no magical abilities, but the girl primarily receives healing and defensive magic, and the sprite receives offensive magic. Whenever magic is used, it drains MP from the character, but casting magic in a specific category raises that elemental's experience, eventually leveling up, which makes any magic attacks in that respective category more powerful. This means if you want to level up an elemental, you may have to farm at certain points by just casting magic attacks non-stop, which can become tedious. Now you can set the behavior of any AI characters through the action grid. You can have them be aggressive and attack enemies, keep away, and guard. We thought this was a pretty nifty feature given the time this released. Unfortunately, the AI characters can be a nuisance thanks to their terrible pathfinding. All of the characters must be in close proximity to proceed forward. AI characters will often get stuck on objects or behind walls, and having to frequently go back to get them so you can proceed becomes annoying. As opposed to the Final Fantasy games out at the time, which relied on turn-based combat, the combat in Secret of Mana is in real time, and overall it's interesting but definitely has some quirks. It works and it's functional, but we have some gripes. For one thing, there's a power bar that drains whenever you attack or sprint. The power bar refills pretty quickly, and you can still attack when it's not full, but you'll do more damage when it is. With that said, waiting for the power bar to refill all the time makes the combat kind of slow and clunky. The combat also has this random shit going on where attacks don't always land, enemies will randomly dodge, and sometimes your attacks will whack the enemies, which means that attack did much more damage than normal. I believe all of this has to do with your character's stats, so the higher their level, the better they perform in combat. While the actual melee and ranged combat is as easy as pressing a button, casting magic is not quite as fluid. You need to open a radial menu, which pauses the gameplay, then switch to the magic menu, choose an elemental, and then choose a magic ability to cast it. Most enemies and bosses are weak to specific elemental attacks, but the magic is best used against bosses. Unfortunately, that means many boss battles turn into tedious cases of navigating through menus. You can switch to any AI character's menu to access their magic at any time, but the fact that there's no quick way to cast magic abilities is really a bummer and slows down the pacing. Unfortunately, many things in this game require you to access the radial menu, equipping gear, buying and selling items, using items, and it also doubles as a pause menu if you will. The radial menu may have been revolutionary for the time, but it's certainly aged, and many games since this originally released have done things like this much better, mainly due to more modern control schemes among other things. The actual world in Secret of Mana is quite large, especially for its time. When you first start playing, most of the world is blocked off, but as you complete objectives and acquire new weapons, you'll gain access to new areas. Some weapons are required to access specific areas. For example, the whip is used to jump across gaps, and the axe can break small obstacles blocking your path. You'll come across crystal orbs that require specific elemental magic to be cast for them to reveal new areas. In the beginning of the game, you'll come across cannons that basically act as a fast travel system since they will just launch you directly to specific areas. They're basically required to progress since all of the areas are not really connected, as in you can't walk from one major part of the world to the other. About halfway through the game you'll acquire a flammy, I don't know how to say it, which is a flying creature that can be summoned at any time, and at first this thing seems pretty cool because it's basically a quick travel system. You can use it to fly anywhere around the world, but you really need to know where things are, otherwise it's easy to get lost thanks to no real visible landmarks on the map screen. You are provided a compass, so the cardinal direction is all you really have to go on unless you've memorized the map and world. This whole flying around the world concept is actually quite impressive, but it's also dated if you compare it to a more modern quick travel system. Secret of Mana released in an era where games didn't really hold your hand. That means if you don't pay attention to dialogue and your surroundings, you can easily get lost or not know what to do. Completing objectives also grants you access to new areas, but some objectives, like having to speak to a specific NPC for example, may not be obvious, causing you to get stuck. Reading everything carefully is very crucial. Sometimes the game introduces environmental puzzles, and I use that term loosely, which involves you stepping on switches and pulling levers, among other things. There's one forest area that you have to navigate through in a specific way, which can just result in a lot of trial and error until you get it right. The bestiary in Secret of Mana is made up of a wide variety of creatures. Some of the creatures are typical, others are humorous. You've got bees, wolves, goblins, gremlins, and even more obscure enemies like mushrooms, heads, ninjas, chest knights, even ducks that utilize explosive attacks. All enemies are unique with their own attacks. Some enemies spawn other enemies, others can stun you, set you on fire, and even turn you into a Moogle, whatever the hell that is. There are magic abilities and items you can use to dispel magic, protect yourself, and the Moogle belt will actually de-Moogle your character. You'll come across a ton of bosses, all of which are damage sponges with different attack patterns. Some of the boss attacks are just crazy, some of their attacks are seemingly unavoidable, like their magic attacks which will pause the entire gameplay, even stun lock you. These battles can sometimes be frustrating, knowing their strengths and weaknesses is key. The end of the game has you seemingly going from one boss to another constantly. Now, there is no auto-saving or quick-saving for that matter, so if you die you need to restart from your last save, which is usually back at the last inn. This means dying can result in losing experience, items, and having you trek a long way back to where you were. Luckily, defeating bosses automatically refills your health, but unfortunately it does not refill your MP, so you'll want to bring a few fairy walnuts with you, which instantly refill a character's MP. Farming experience is definitely in your best interest, more so in the beginning of the game, but also at any other point. We found the beginning of the game to move along rather slowly, requiring us to farm in order to progress without constantly dying, but after that we basically breezed right through up until the very end, where some enemies can do crazy damage and dodge everything you throw at them. Farming to level up at any point is always good because being overpowered will make your life a lot easier. You're going to traverse through a variety of areas including forests, caves, castles, towns, even snowy tundras. It's a pretty diverse world and each new area is always throwing something new at you. The story in Secret of Mana follows a young boy which you can name before playing, but from what we researched, his actual name is Randy, I think. I'll just keep calling him Boy. Him and 2 other kids were playing on a log over a waterfall. The boy falls, and as he's trying to get back, a voice calls out to him that draws him to a sword, which you eventually learn is magical and contains the power known as mana. Unfortunately, removing the sword releases all of the evil in the world, and because of that, the boy is kicked out of his hometown. The boy then learns he's required to seek out the 8 mana seeds to restore mana to the sword and seal away the evil. On his journey, he comes across 2 different characters that join him on his quest, a sprite named Papoy, I think, and a girl named Prim. With that said, you can name these characters anything you want, but for the sake of this review, I will call them Sprite and Girl. I should mention the Sprite and Girl have their own reasons for teaming up with the boy. The Sprite is trying to get his memory back, and the girl is supposed to marry some dude, but she's truly in love with an officer named Dyluck. But he went missing, and she obviously wants to find him. The story is told through text dialogue, so there is no voice acting. You'll interact with a bunch of characters, including Santa and Rudolph, because why not? Being a Japanese RPG, the story gets a little strange, at least if you're not familiar with many games in this genre or even watch anime. You'll need to read all of the dialogue, not only to understand what's going on, but also to know where to go, because it can be very easy to get lost. Overall, we thought the storyline was okay. If you can get into it, it can spark a few emotions. There's some funny moments here, sad moments there, but story aside, we play games for the gameplay, and the gameplay is rather fun. Secret of Mana looks pretty damn good. It's full of vibrant colors, the pixel art still holds up, the environments are well detailed, and the Mode 7 effects when flying around the map screen are quite impressive. On the audio side, the sound effects are basic, what you would expect, and got the job done. As for the music, we understand it was impressive for its time. Jeremy hated one specific song because it gave him a headache. I, on the other hand, thought the music was okay, it's catchy, but does get a little repetitive after a while. You'll hear many of the same tunes over and over, like the boss battle music, for example. On the performance side, there was some slowdown here and there, especially when the screen got busy. We did experience a few glitches, like walking through walls, enemies spewing out what looks like glitch blocks, and others that could be seen as exploits. Some of these may be exclusive to the SNES Classic version, but I can't confirm. We did have fun with Secret of Mana despite its issues, but I would say most of its issues are due to its age. The somewhat grindy nature of the gameplay, the cumbersome menus, and the randomness of the combat can really bring the game down in some ways. We enjoyed the story, the visual presentation, and we think the gameplay is actually more fun when you're at least slightly overpowered. Dying and being kicked all the way back to your last save can mean a serious loss of progress. The odd design choice of waiting for the power bar to refill so you can do max damage makes the combat feel a bit more tedious at times than fun. You adapt to it pretty early, and I guess it's designed to balance out the gameplay. Whether or not the removal of the power bar feature would break the game, I don't know, but it would definitely increase the pacing. Ultimately, we would recommend Secret of Mana, but it's definitely not going to appeal to everybody. If you enjoy RPGs, especially JRPGs, definitely give it a shot if you haven't already. I know the game is praised, I've heard about it before, and despite playing it a little bit a few years back, I basically went into this blind. We would say this is a great RPG for the Super Nintendo, but we also feel that many aspects of it are dated. Still, it's a classic that's beloved by many, and if you can get past some of its quirks, you should be able to enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in, I hope this video proved helpful. Stick with GameCast for more quality content including the latest gaming news, podcasts, let's plays, and even more reviews. Be sure to check out my channel, Gaming Pastime, for new game reviews released every week. My name is Mike, and I thank you for watching.
Hey everybody, Hidden Object Guru here with a GameCast review of Victorum, the game about wizards blowing up houses until something good happens. Victorum is the story of a nefarious inquisition that, in hopes of controlling all the world's magic, has wiped out all but one member of the most powerful order of sorcerers in the world, the Victorum. It's that all but one that gets them into trouble, of course, as the player takes on the role of that Victorum and goes on a vengeance rampage. A vampage? Venge page? Well, whatever you call it, there's a lot of violence. Because of a largely unexplained cataclysm, the world is covered in a purple fog that intermittently spits out glowing demons. As a result, humanity has moved to the mountaintops. The game's story structure is lifted shamelessly from FTL, with the player choosing which mountaintop to travel to from a map, trying to build a path to the map's exit while staying one step ahead of the Inquisition forces that are always hot on their heels. The mountaintops feature randomized encounters drawn from a decent-sized pool, where the player is given options for how to proceed. Do they want to intervene and have a fight, or just sneak past an area? Would they like to blast a town of magic-hating zealots to matchsticks, or leave them alone? There are a few opportunities to choose the right or wrong thing to do in a given situation. There's no morality meter keeping track of the player's decision, so they're free to behave however they see fit. The end goal is to arrive at the Inquisition stronghold on Map 8 and kill the head Inquisitor, and the game never really builds its story beyond the Inquisition has got to go, so get that done. Victorum is a third-person spellcasting game with two main points of interest in it. The first is a modular spellcasting system. So long as their mana pool has enough force in it, players can always just toss off a spell with the right trigger on their controller. If they have a little extra mana though, they can use the left trigger to slow down time and open up a window that lets them activate runes that buff the spell in various ways, making it fly faster, farther, hit harder, last longer, or leave a damaging field in its wake. There's a wide variety of power runes for each of the game's 3 magic disciplines, and the game manages to make changes to spells so immediate and impactful that using the spell shaping system always feels rewarding. The way that impactfulness happens is the second interesting thing about the game: the dynamically deformable buildings. Nearly all of Victorum's maps are packed with pre-built kit houses that are prone to being blown apart by the slightest impact from almost any spell. Their pieces fly off in all directions, crushing enemies, or even the player if they're not careful. The game is entirely built around the inclusion of this effect, and it's a damn fine effect to build a game around. There's some pretty prominent weak points as well. Enemy AI doesn't really progress past ranged attackers park at their maximum range and constantly fire, while melee guys charge forward so blindly that they will literally run to their doom off of a broken bridge that the player is on the other side of. So that's a disappointment. More disappointing is the game's loot system. While players can occasionally luck into a decent reward by killing an enemy, most of the best loot, armor, health, spellbooks, can be found by exploring the aforementioned houses, which is where a pretty severe problem crops up. The Victorum has no melee attacks, and no spells that won't destroy buildings. The enemy attackers have no problem following the player into buildings, sword swinging. Once that happens, players have to choose between letting the enemy AI hack away, definitely killing them, or casting a spell that brings the roof down on all of their heads, which will just almost definitely kill them. So the only reliable way to get decent loot, which is an absolute necessity for beating late game levels, is to carefully kill all of the enemies on a map without damaging any of the buildings, and then carefully go back and search those houses one at a time, which is basically the opposite of the way the game is meant to be played. Clearly an indie production, all of Victorum's levels take place on procedurally generated mountaintops full of rounded edges. That, along with the simple character models, gives the game a kind of a Mountain Blade but with spells feel. The spells themselves are much more impressive, using great visual effects and sound design to make sure each is distinctly memorable. Whether crackling lightning, exploding fire, or shattering ice, all of the spells have beautifully dynamic visual characteristics. Sadly, the game isn't particularly well optimized, and the physics interactions it's built around can be too much for the engine. In even the most hectic combat, I had no trouble maintaining 60 frames per second, but whenever I start blowing up buildings, the game's attempt to keep track of all of the objects in motion can drop that frame rate down to 30 or even 15. It's still visually stunning, but it doesn't offer the smoothness that the rest of the game does. This is a new character I've just started. He has the ability to call meteors down from the sky, creating huge explosions. For whatever's wrong with this game, it gives players an unlimited pool of magic that they can use to destroy squads of enemies and crush buildings. It's honestly so viscerally entertaining that I'm tempted to give all of the game's flaws a pass. Victorum contains any number of stellar moments. It's difficult not to smile when watching a ball of plasma disintegrate a watchtower along with the archer inside of it. It makes using destructive magic both simple and fun. It's all of the mechanics around the combat that get the game into trouble though. With a better loot mechanic, a revamped story mode with more encounters and a larger number of maps, and a handle on its technical shortcomings, this could have been a masterpiece of magical combat. As it is, there's enough here to be worth playing, but probably only if you find it on sale. I've been the Hidden Object Guru. Thanks for watching. You can stay tuned for more GameCast content, or drop by the Hidden Object Guru YouTube channel for literally hundreds of other videos. See you back here for the next thing. But until then, au revoir.
Welcome to another GameCast review. Today I'll be giving my impressions of the first 2 DLC characters for Dragon Ball FighterZ. Broly and Bardock have just been added to Fighters and they help round out the roster a bit. Since its launched earlier in the year, the game has been continually balanced and the netcode has been improved. But really this video is all about the new characters, so let's get right into it. Broly is a fresh addition to the roster, filling in as a heavy-duty mid-ranged grappler. He has a pretty huge hitbox, which is to be expected from someone who literally towers over the other fighters. He can absorb a few hits during certain actions, and it helps make up for his lower speed. That being said, he is faster than I thought he'd be, and his juggling capabilities are cool. He may only come with 2 supers, but they are very effective mid-combo. His meteor combo in particular is very devastating, but requires incredible timing to land due to how heavily telegraphed the attack is. While I spent some time in the challenge mode learning how to play, I still haven't explored the character enough. The enemy AI, however, seems to have no issue, and I love seeing what he's capable of. While Bardock might share a character model with Goku, and by extension a decent part of the roster itself, he plays very differently. Bardock is a very quick rush-style fighter that relies on each of his attacks to close the distance between him and his opponent. It's sort of like using his offense as his own defense. However, if he misses or if the opponent blocks, he can easily be punished. All of his moves are easily chainable with one another, and this even works with his supers. His combo trials gave a good idea as to how all of these can work together, and how you might be able to reset a combo with a well-placed vanish. He felt very natural and distinct from the rest of the cast, even if you may be tired of his face. He's very versatile, and his uses are immediately obvious. He'll most likely be the one used for tournament play right away, while others might figure out Broly a bit more. Both newcomers look incredible in Fighter's Engine. Broly is a hulking massive angry muscle, and all of his animations are perfect. Every swing, every grapple, every energy ball feels like it has the force of a giant behind it. Couple this with some incredible sound effects and additional animations at close range, and you get a sense of playing through a scene from the original Broly movie. Bardock fares just as well with some beautiful flourishes and close-ups. His combos look incredibly fluid, like they were part of one big attack, and his chainable supers look seamless. His meteor combo mimics Goku's Warp Kamehameha in a really fun way, and the extra Super Saiyan finisher is really cool. The new dramatic finishes are fantastic. Not only do we get the finales from the first 2 Broly movies, but we also have Bardock's classic face-off with Frieza, and a what-if sort of finisher where Bardock gets some much-needed revenge. These scenes are expertly crafted, and the lighting effects in space are incredible. The dialogue can be a bit cheesy, but it's Dragon Ball, so it kind of gets a free pass sometimes. Both characters are a ton of fun, and they add just a little bit extra to the roster. It's also nice that they don't have beam attacks, because I think we're a little worn out on those right now. They have great potential, and their inclusion is just amazing for movie fans. I can't wait to see what new sort of dramatic scenes we get with future DLC, and if Arc put as much effort into the next characters as they did for these, then Fighters will probably stay on its pedestal for quite a while. So for that, I'd say the new Broly and Bardock DLC is probably worth a buy. This is mainly if you are keeping up with the game, as if you are playing very casually and just want them for the dramatic scenes, it's probably a bit of a waste. I hope you enjoyed that video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you'd like to see more from me, you can find me right here as part of the review team or over at Arisen Culture. Until next time, bye! Hey everyone, and welcome to another GameCast review. Today I'll be reviewing Fire Emblem Warriors, now available for the Nintendo Switch and new 3DS. Let's start, as always, with gameplay. We all grew up with certain facts of gaming being made clear early on, like Link doesn't talk, Rainbow Road is diabolical, and Warriors games are repetitive. Fire Emblem Warriors is in many ways a traditional Warriors or Musou game. It has simple combos, forts to capture, and thousands upon thousands of generic enemies to slay. It's a formula that has been working pretty well for the last few console generations. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it works. But, as this is a spin-off Warriors title, it does bring a few new features that really liven things up. The Fire Emblem franchise is steeped in strategy, and moving to the action-heavy mindless combat of Warriors is definitely a jarring transition. Mainstay Fire Emblem features like turn-based combat, breakable weapons, and terrain bonuses are gone. Warriors titles can't exactly incorporate those elements, so the devs had to pick and choose what they could work with. Most notably, the iconic weapon triangle plays a huge role in Fire Emblem Warriors. The classic rock-paper-scissors type system of swords, axes, and spears is intact, with each playable character fitting into a regular Fire Emblem class role. Weapon advantages play a huge role as enemies' classes matter. The second a disadvantageous weapon comes into play, you'll find you deal much less damage and take much more in return. In any other Warriors title, this would require a mission restart to change to a character better suited to the enemies. However, in this title you can swap to another playable character mid-mission. Up to 4 playable warriors can enter most missions, allowing the player to plan out a diverse set of swords, spears, axes, bows, or spells to combat the mostly varied enemy types. It's refreshing and adds a little more strategy to what would otherwise be a straightforward and simple beat-em-up. Another key feature is the ability to order your troops around in the pause screen. Normally, the warrior's friendly AI is pretty atrocious, but here it's actually decent as you can ensure everyone is on task and even swap to them if the need arises. It lets you really take control of the battlefield and ensures you won't be caught running all over the map with a single character defending and reacquiring forts. Fire Emblem Warriors also includes the support and pair-up systems from its more recent entries. Fighting alongside the same warriors will raise their support levels, netting you some extra loot and a fun interaction between the characters once the support level has been maxed out. To speed up the process, you can pair up with another character. This allows you to tag in and out at a moment's notice and call your partner in for a quick attack. Your paired unit can also absorb a hit or two in the heat of battle, and you can even perform a team-up attack, which is as flashy as it is devastating. Fire Emblem Warriors also includes the classic permadeath system that the franchise is known for. Much like more recent entries in the series, permadeath is an option given right at the beginning of the game, so it can be avoided altogether. Otherwise, if you lose a character, they will be incapacitated and must be revived at the temple after a mission. Outside of battle, you can upgrade your warriors with extra combos, abilities, or weapons. Most characters come with their specific weapons from their games, and these can be upgraded alongside them. For a few others, they start with bronze weapons and you must work your way up from that, much like the traditional Fire Emblem system. After a character reaches level 15, you can promote them, giving them a huge stat boost and a cool new costume. I like the stronger focus on micromanaging and strategy this time around, but at the end of the day, it is still a Warriors title and it is still repetitive. Usually this repetition can be lessened by trying out new fighters and taking on harder challenges. While that is still the case, Fire Emblem Warriors lacks a little in character diversity. Several playable characters are clones of others. For example, Chrom and Lucina have the exact same combos but different special moves. Hinoka, Cordelia and Cedar are in the same boat as well. It's a shame because these characters could have been unique. Having a smaller, more diverse cast of characters might have been better in the long term. Next, let's talk about the story. Warriors spin-offs aren't exactly known for their deep narratives, and the same is true for Fire Emblem Warriors. It's not bad by any means, it just has a very been there done that kind of vibe. The story takes place outside of the main Fire Emblem narrative, focusing on the new fictional kingdom of Aetolis, and its twin prince and princess Rowan and Liana. One day, mysterious rifts open up in the skies and monsters start to pour into their once peaceful kingdom. These rifts also brought together other Fire Emblem timelines and worlds. Rowan and Liana quickly set off on a journey to save the world from this new threat by joining forces with the greatest heroes from Fire Emblem's long history, or at least the greatest heroes from its more recent entries. And Marth, because it's hard to have a Fire Emblem game without Marth making some kind of appearance. The general narrative bounces between recreating major scenes from Awakening and Fates as well as trying to stop the growing evil that opened these rifts in the first place. It's nothing too special, but it does a decent job, and it's great to see some of these characters finally in HD. Outside of the main story, there's also an optional history mode. This mode lets you replay key maps from a few different Fire Emblems. Each level is a different enemy sprite on the map, and it was fun progressing and reliving a few of my favourite moments from Awakening and Fates. Next, let's talk about the look and feel of the game. Fire Emblem Warriors isn't the prettiest game out there. Environments tend to be on the bland side, and NPCs and enemies are very generic. But, much like other Warriors titles, these aren't the focus of the game. The playable character models are intricate and well animated, showing great versatility. Characters like Chrom, Marth and Cordelia look and feel like they should, clearing out hundreds of enemies with elegant and flashy attacks. It makes me wish for a more diverse roster of characters, as it seems like a missed opportunity that there are no thieves or heavy knights. There's also an overabundance of sword users, which is kind of unavoidable seeing as almost every fan favourite or iconic Fire Emblem character uses a sword in some capacity. The pre-rendered cutscenes are nice, and the early cinematics that recreate a few iconic scenes from Awakening and Fates were a lot of fun. The smaller story exchanges are a throwback to Fire Emblem cutscenes, but the 3D models look funny when they're static like that. The 2D sprites on the pause screen and in history mode were a good callback to the simple and elegant presentation of Fire Emblem as a whole. It's a little annoying that a few of the more major NPCs aren't playable and are planned DLC. This adds insult to injury, as you can fight them in the game and they already have intro scenes and a few load screens giving short descriptions of their playstyles. It feels lazy, and the game should have been delayed to include them in the base roster. I've already mentioned that Fire Emblem Warriors is repetitive, but it's a smooth and fun kind of repetitive that only Warriors titles can accomplish. and counted only a few framerate drops every now and again, which was fine. Fire Emblem Warriors also includes the option to bump up the game to 60 frames per second at the cost of downgraded graphics. While I never thought of it as a demanding genre, it was a nice feature to have. The soundtrack remixes many of the more recent Fire Emblem songs in much the same way as Hyrule Warriors did a couple years back. The remixes are good, but if you aren't a fan of Awakening or Fates, you'll probably be disappointed. The English voice acting is decent enough, with many actors reprising their roles from the 3DS games. You can download a free DLC pack for Japanese voices, and while they are better overall, I would still recommend English as it makes keeping track of everything in battle much easier. There's plenty of fun to be had with Fire Emblem Warriors. However, that mainly only applies to a certain demographic. Fans of Fire Emblem titles might find this hard to get into, while Warriors fans might have trouble getting into the new features and characters. It feels like it was made for fans of both recent Fire Emblem titles and the classic Warriors gameplay. Fortunately for the developers, I fit right into that category and I enjoyed my time with the game. The portability of the Switch is a huge bonus for this game, as it's great in short bursts and there are dozens of hours worth of content in the base game, with more being added as DLC further down the track. Fire Emblem Warriors is a hard game to recommend as it melds two very different franchises together. It might appeal more to a Warriors fan than a Fire Emblem fan, and it being a crossover is not a great place to start for newcomers. By itself it's quite a fun game, but familiarity with the franchise's history does help. Because of that, I feel like it needs two different scores. If, like me, you're already a fan of Fire Emblem and Warriors games, then this title is probably worth a buy. However, if you aren't a fan of either, or only a fan of one of them, then this would probably be better if you've waited for a sale. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed that video. Stick around at GameCast for more great gaming content, and you can find more from me over at Arisen Culture. Until next time, bye!
We won this time!
Twist after twist after twist. That's my synopsis of Subject 360's story. It opens traditionally enough. The main character is locked in an escape room by a little girl with a creepy voice, forced to figure out puzzles or die trying. Then things get weird. I won't reveal exactly how, because this game deserves to be experienced without foreknowledge of all of its surprises. But suffice to say that the player is thrown into an increasingly bizarre series of situations, and it quickly becomes difficult to tell what's real and what's just fantasy. But what about the hidden object criteria? A truly mixed bag this time. Players will visit a series of fantastical locations, including a dilapidated town, an alternate version thereof, and a series of bizarre dreamscapes. Some of the game's clutteredness is earned. Ransacked offices and storage areas should be filmed with randomly strewn objects after all. A lot of it isn't, however, and the game suffers from some truly shoddy translation. I'm used to hidden object games having slightly questionable English. They're generally made in Central and Eastern Europe after all. But rare is the game where a translation is so completely wrong that it makes an item very difficult to find. That happened multiple times in this game. It's a split decision, leaning more towards yes than no. There are plenty of 12:1 screens along with the integrated ones, but enough of those are mosaic scenes that the developers get away with including them. There are a number of extremely clever integrated scenes as well, in addition to some well-built storytelling sequences that ride the line between puzzle and a hidden object game. There's a great sequence where the player has to click on pieces of furniture to stack them into a makeshift ladder. It's extremely clever, and a perfect example of the developer's admirable willingness to experiment with design. Fantastically. This is a true standout when it comes to hidden object game narratives. It has a fantastic villain, who's both extremely creepily voiced and incredibly well designed. Although, to delve into that one too far risks those huge spoilers I'm trying to avoid. There's around 2.5 hours of gameplay here, and that's without ever forcing the player to return to a hidden object scene more than once. Subject 360 is constantly unlocking new locations and posing new challenges for the player, keeping the pacing brisk and thrilling. A warning though. This is one of the scarier hidden object games I've encountered. There are a bunch of well-designed jump scares and a truly stressful boss fight, so be warned. Things get pretty dark in this one, and it's not for the faint of heart. We need to get to the ancient native burial ground under this house, but there's no convenient basement. However will we get there? Bulldozer! Absolutely yes. In addition to offering a full hour of extra gameplay along with the standard art and music assets, the game's story is wonderfully enriched by offering the second look at the action from a new perspective. It ambitiously covers what was going on before the game started, some side content happening around the main adventure, and even a little bit of the aftermath. This is one of the best bonus chapters I've ever encountered. There's even a special extra hidden object scene that allows players to clean up a monstrously cluttered bathroom. When I played Adam Wolf nearly a year ago, I was amazed at the developer's success in elevating the hidden object puzzle adventure into a complete interactive story with television-style structure and pacing. For some reason, this didn't lead me to immediately track down other games from Madhead, the developers. Obviously, this was a mistake, if May's Subject 360 is indicative of the kind of work they've been doing. It's engrossing and frightening in equal measure, and I look forward to playing the rest of the games in the series as soon as possible. After that, well, what other games have Madhead made? This review is based on the copy of the game purchased with my own money. If you'd like to watch the playthrough which led to this review, swing by the Hidden Object Guru YouTube channel. See you back here for the next review, but until then, au revoir. The first Bluebeard's Castle game was a small-scale disaster. Unclear puzzles, terrible navigation, excessive loading screens, and a hint system that was almost completely broken. I didn't even put a review of it out because I'd been so annoyed by the experience that I didn't want to spend another second thinking about it. Naturally, my very next move was to play the game's sequel. Because of masochism, I suppose? I can say this for certain. Bluebeard's Castle, Son of the Heartless, is a huge improvement over the first game in the series. It's not perfect by any means, and it makes a few borderline inexcusable mistakes. But there's enough interesting material here to be worth making the review that you're currently watching. Now, the hidden object criteria. It's pretty much a disaster. The very first hidden object scene in the game revolves around a fallen tree, which is covered in jewelry and toys and pieces of paper. And it doesn't get any better from there. Despite the fact that the game is set in a castle that's experienced 25 years of dilapidation, the screens are just covered with ridiculous, surprisingly clean nonsense. There weren't any anachronistic items that I noticed, which is about the only positive thing I can say about the design of the hidden object scenes. Son of the Heartless focuses on 12:1 screens, which is, naturally, the bare minimum of justification possible. The art is attractive at least, with the clickable objects being perfectly integrated into the screens, and there isn't much cheating to speak of. Even the item names are free of the occasionally deceptive translations that plagued the first game. Son of the Heartless only has basic hidden object gameplay to offer, but at least it's competent, unlike its prequel. Son of the Heartless has some of the most frustrating puzzles I've encountered in ages. Not just because they're difficult, which a few are, skippably so, but because some of the puzzles aren't actually puzzles. There are two distinct kinds of ways to open up new areas in this type of adventure game. Puzzles, where the players have to follow a set of rules to figure out a solution to an obstacle. A single-player game, if you will. And then there are locks, where the player just has to enter in a combination. Son of the Heartless's problem is that it blurs the line between the two, on multiple occasions offering locks so ornate and complex that they look like puzzles, right down to offering a gradually filling skip bar. This creates an expectation in the player that there's something to figure out, when really they're just supposed to follow directions. This is made even worse by the failure of basic gamecraft. One of these puzzle-shaped locks doesn't tell the player that there's a piece of paper with a combination on it that they need to use before starting what looks like a puzzle. How hard would it be to lock the puzzle away until they've used the written down combination on it? The strangest thing about this game is also the most interesting, and the sole reason to recommend the title. During the player's journey to find 3 power items to break Bluebeard's curse, it suddenly occurs to me that I haven't mentioned the plot at all in this review, largely because it's a generic cliché. Anyhow, the point is, one of the 3 locations they'll go to looking for a power item is inside a storybook, which leads to the game adopting an entirely new papercraft-inspired art style that looks fantastic and plays beautifully. The sequence isn't any better designed than the rest of the game, but is so visually spectacular that I ended up loving that whole part of the game. There isn't one, so no. Bluebeard's Castle, Son of the Heartless, is terrible about communicating with the player. It's got an awful map system, faulty item hints in the exploration screen, and those puzzles that aren't actually puzzles. It's just not great. That papercraft area, though, that's something special. I can't express enough how well built that part of the game is, and I'd almost say that the whole thing is worth suffering through just to get a chance to play that part. Almost being the key word there. This review is based on a copy of the game purchased with my own money. If you'd like to watch the playthrough which led to this review, swing by the Hidden Object Guru YouTube channel. See you back here for the next review, but until then, au revoir.
Hello and welcome to another GameCast review. I am Snowy, otherwise known as Count Fracula, bringing you a review of the Switch port of Rocket League. The original PC version of Rocket League came out in 2015 and combines football, that's soccer for you colony folks, with remote control cars and appropriately rockets. A combination that on paper sounds slightly absurd, but in reality works so well I've managed to put over 100 hours into it. That in itself is quite a feat. Getting me to spend more than 20 hours in a game, unless you are Pokemon, is quite an achievement indeed, so Rocket League must be doing something right. Given all this, you can imagine I was excited when they announced Rocket League was coming to the Switch. The thought of playing this wherever I wanted filled me with immense anticipation. Then I was hit by a question. How will it perform? On my PC, it performs perfectly on highest settings at 144 frames a second, but that is on a gaming PC. And the Switch, while a brilliant example of what you can fit in a small space, is nowhere near as capable as that or its hardware rivals. Would the developers therefore try and release the game in its full graphical fidelity at the sacrifice of function, or would they put the gameplay before the visuals? The answer, fortunately, is the latter, and the gameplay is buttery smooth. Battling against bots provides no frame drops at all, and online is only beholden to your own connection. I've encountered only one slight glitch while playing against the bots. The AI takes a good couple of seconds after the start of a match to kick in. With a game like this, those couple of seconds are crucial enough to let me score an easy goal, and I feel like I cheated a little bit. But this does seem to be just an issue on the Switch, and hopefully by the time this review goes out, maybe a little bit after that, this issue will be patched out. It appears the developers are at the very least aware of it. The controls are well implemented still and can be rebound at will, so if you have a preferred control scheme on another version, or just in racing games in general, then you'll have no problems. I will add that while the layout is exactly the same as the default for the Xbox controller on PC, due to what I assume is a hardwired thing in my brain for how Nintendo controllers work, therefore making my hands default to a different position, I found myself frequently boosting rather than jumping. This is, however, my own fault, and something that shouldn't be much of a problem to a more sane person. Back to the online, connection was rock solid for the most part, with very little ping. However, I did have a few instances of teleporting around the field, even with low ping. This may well be a consequence of the internet at my mum's house not playing well with the Switch, as that was when most of my playtime before this review was spent. But my experience at home was a little bit better from what I've had so far, so this may just be a connection issue. Crossplay is still included in this version, meaning I was coming up against people on all platforms in online matches. This is one of my favourite features of the game and helps to boost the player count. I was never waiting long for a game to start due to the large number of sources to pull players from. The driving is still as responsive as ever, and my mistakes always felt like they were my fault, not the game's. The camera controls are still a little bit Marmite. You either love them or you don't. I don't mind them personally. The ability to focus on the ball can be less than useful when the ball is above you, so you can't see anything around you. And the ability to just look straight ahead can make it a little bit tricky sometimes to get a hold on where the ball is in relation to you. Put it simply though, this is still the Rocket League that I love, and now I can play it on the train wherever I like, just anywhere, and that is what makes this game worth it for me. Regardless of whether or not you've played Rocket League before, any version will be amazing, but as someone who owns the PC version, this Switch version is still money well spent. Thank you for watching this review, and if you enjoyed it and want more like this, subscribe for weekly news, reviews, podcasts, and our broadcast, which goes live on a Saturday at 12 PM CST, broadcasts all of our content for the week, and you can join in some chat with us and other people that are there. It's usually a really nice experience. I am usually found doing the news and the newscast, and I hope to see you there soon.
Late to the broadcast and miss your favorite show? Fear not, we've got you covered. The GameCast YouTube channel contains all of your past and present shows on demand for you to view at a time of your convenience. The space also serves as a portal of sorts for you to discover what your favorite GameCast personalities are creating outside of the GameCast world. Simply click the link below for the past and present on demand, with a side bonus of content from your favorite GameCast personalities. Stop right there! Don't touch that dial, and don't change the channel. Pocket Edition is up next. This small form factor show isn't afraid to unpack the biggest talking points of the video game industry. Join your host Sully and other various GameCast personalities as they pull apart and put back together what captured their interest this week, and, in some cases, your childhood too.
Ah, that is some good coffee. Mark, what is going on? Thanks for joining me on our little slice of life.
Thanks for having me.
What's going on? You recently got back from Japan.
Yeah, it was a wild ride. I was only there for a week, but I tended to get a lot done.
Yeah, like watch Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, I mean, like that I took up a lot of it, but it was downtime.
Tell us the story.
So, after going into our Airbnb, we realized that the TV was Netflix enabled, and this is like this is like 11 at night, and we were scrolling through Netflix, and nothing was like dubbed or anything like that. Nothing had subs, for English subs anyway, except for Full Metal Alchemist. And so that's how we decided. We're like, hey, there's 64 episodes, and we're here for a little over a week. I think we can do this.
Challenge accepted.
So
is that why you came back early, because you finished Full Metal Alchemist?
I mean, I left on the day that we finished it.
Okay.
But that's completely unrelated though.
The truth comes out.
I teared up again at the end. But yeah, so that was just downtime stuff. But during the week, we tried to do, like, each day was some sort of extra adventure. So on our first day, we found a proper arcade. So it had, like, all the claw game machines and everything. But on the second floor, it had 8 or so cabinets of, like, Tekken 7, a bunch of, like, those
very cool.
crazy rhythm games.
That's right up your alley, right? Like all the fighting games and stuff. So you would have loved that.
And then they had this whole row of vacant machines. I don't know why no one was playing them, but it was Dissidia that I'd just done an impressions video before I came over.
Oh, so that's what that was. Because I think I saw the photo of that in the Discord before the actual video went up, and I'm like, what's he talking about? What is this Dissidia? Yeah.
So I just sat down and was playing that by myself, and it was just really, really awesome because it had like 20 extra characters.
So are there heaps of arcades over there then? Like, is that still a pretty popular thing? Like arcades? Like, I can imagine walking in, you get like what's it called? What's that racing one?
Initial D. Like all that kind of stuff. Is that like, in terms of like the arcade space, are they just hugely prevalent over there? Yeah, so the arcade scene just never died. It just kept getting stronger there. And it's like, it was crazy. You could go any sort of, like say a 5-10 minute walk away from another arcade and you'd walk into a new one. And like the arcades are like 3-4 floors high.
It reminds me of when I went to the UK and they had the penny arcades. Do you know what they are? Yeah, so basically you just literally give them pennies for nothing. Like, you just throw your pennies in these machines and they have all these different little puzzles, and, you know, it's like you throw more in, you get a chance to tip some more over a ledge or something like that. It's like the skill test is here, but here we have candy bars instead. Yay, I want a fun-sized candy bar. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how it never disappeared. It kind of reminds me as well of, like, you look in Korea and other Asian countries, the LAN society, like with, you know, you go to a LAN house or like a PC house and you pay time to just play on their systems all day. Like, is it similar to that in a sense? Like, how do you pay for it all? Yeah, so just every machine is just like coin op, but all of the arcades have like crazy opening and closing times. Like, it was like the one that I went to was, I think it opened at 2 a.m. and closed at midnight. Wow. So there's only like a 2-hour gap, and there's always people in there to just clean up for that small bracket. That's so weird. Yeah, because Like whenever we went, it was just always busy, no matter what time of day.
Oh, that's very cool. To carry on with your adventure, what else? We can touch on some gaming related stuff. But I want to know more specifically, and this probably more ties in with our slice of life. What is some weird shit that you saw? Surely you saw some weird shit. Like Japan has some very weird culture that we kind of go, like what? Like it just doesn't make sense.
There is a big culture around vending machines. So it's like vending machines. You can get cigarettes, beer, coffee, but all of it's cold.
Oh, nice. Cold cigarettes.
Yeah, and like there are a few vending machines that actually just pop out hot food, which is really confusing and really cool.
Yeah, that's a little bit off-putting. Yeah. I've seen pizza vending machines that do that, and I've never quite grasped how they're doing it. Now, I've seen some weird-ass meals as well. Like, I watched one on Facebook the other day where it was like a squid or an octopus or something on top of some Japanese rice dish, and apparently they say it was dead. But they were pouring hot water over it, and it was like reanimating the muscles. Did you have anything weird, or did you see anything weird like that?
Not on this trip, but yes, I have seen stuff like that where they have like fish flakes that crisp and flake around on your meal, so it looks like your meal's moving.
So it's actually the individual flakes of the fish, like different muscle groups and stuff, and it would just like
and so
come to life under heat and pulsate.
It's kind of like
you ate that?
It's kind of like looking at a campfire. It looks like it's really mesmerizing, but you don't want to touch it while it's moving.
And you had to eat that though.
Yeah, because like that was like the garnish around it. Like the main thing was something else.
Right. No wonder you got sick, man. That's crazy.
But it's like out of like some other things, they've got like a chain of restaurants called Freshness Burger, and they had this in particular burger, a Spam burger.
Yeah, I saw that picture. You didn't try that?
No, I did not. I did not want to risk it.
Do you reckon that's like how we view some foods overseas? Like we see some American foods and we're like, yes, I always wanted to try this. Do you reckon like Spam in Japanese culture, or the availability of Spam at least? Do you think it's kind of like one of those rarities? And then when you put it in a burger, they're like, oh, like Spam. Like it's kind of the same way we view foods overseas. Like we get excited to try it, and that's kind of why they've built this burger around it, or this restaurant.
I think that's part of it, because there is a very, very big culture on Western dishes or things like that. Like if you were to have Pizza Hut or Domino's or something in Japan, it's freakishly expensive.
Yeah, and they'd probably flip out over it, right? Like that would be...
It's like overloaded, looks beautiful. The ads like talk it up like crazy amounts. And like...
You say...
and it'll be like a culture of like 6 or 8 people will buy like a single pizza because it's such like a big thing to do it.
Yeah, it's like exciting, right? Like it's this hype built around it, like when we try weird foods here as well. I guess we're the same, in a sense, everyone's the same. But when you say like it looks beautiful, all I can think about is the way anime food looks.
Yeah. Oh,
how it always looks gorgeous. Like ramen bowls.
That's one of the things. Japanese food is like picture perfect.
Yeah, and it's the same in their anime as well. Like what's with that? Like presentation. Like I imagine their restaurants. Did you go to any really nice restaurants over there where it was just like you look at it, you're like, oh my god, like this is MasterChef.
Yeah, it was like I mean, it is a nice restaurant, but it was a themed restaurant. I went to the Square Enix Cafe.
Oh, okay. Tell us about that.
And so I had Final Fantasy pancakes.
Oh.
And it looked exactly like the photo that I ordered it from. Like exact same angle and everything. I took a photo to illustrate it. And we can probably put that up in the podcast. But
definitely.
It just looked amazing. It had like this little Moogle imprint from Final Fantasy. And it's just like every single strawberry and everything like that was the exact same color and cut as the photo. And I was just like, you're putting a ridiculous amount of effort.
Yeah, they're probably like using samurai swords out the back or something.
Oh, absolutely.
Cut the strawberries up. Yeah, definitely. Folded steel.
Yeah, they've got like
katanas.
Like a team of 20, just very delicately.
I can imagine them like all fondling over this one strawberry like it's some kind of operation or something like that.
Absolutely. That's why it took so long.
Oh, God, is a long wait time, was it?
Usually there isn't a long wait time, but on stuff like that, yeah. Massively long wait.
On things like strawberries.
Yeah.
Strawberries and pancakes. Jesus Christ, I'd hate to think if you got something like elaborate.
But it's like I went to this ramen place where it's like they've only got a single ramen that you can order from a vending machine, and like you go to your seat and everything like that. But then there's like 20 extras that you can order, and then they just throw it into the bowl.
Sorry, did you say from a vending machine again?
Yes.
So this is why you got sick.
Yeah, so you get your ticket from the vending machine, and then they make it for you when you hand them the ticket.
Ah, okay, now I've got you. Yeah. Okay, that sounds fairly safe.
Then. Yeah, that's there's a big culture of that, especially since it kind of breaks the language barrier.
Yeah. No, I got you right.
But
quickly though, back to the Final Fantasy pancakes.
Yep.
They look amazing, but what do they taste like?
Equally amazing.
When you have to assign a flavor to Final Fantasy, what is it?
Oh,
like beyond strawberries.
It was soft and magical.
That's not a flavor, but I'll take it. That's fine. Okay, I'll have to go there and try it myself.
Magical is the best way I can do it.
Magical. Okay, fantastic. Great. What else did you get up to beyond food?
Yeah, so I'd never tried VR gaming, so I was really sort of waiting to try something like that. And Japan presented the perfect opportunity for that because they opened up this thing called the VR Zone, and it's basically owned by Namco. And Namco also owned the rights to Mario Kart as an arcade game. So they had VR Mario Kart, VR Dragon Ball Z, VR Evangelion, and a bunch of other things. So we decided to go and try it.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
So is that like was that like a pitch or a demo for something that is actually coming, like outside of arcades, or is Namco just going to employ like VR arcades now? Like, is that a thing?
Yeah, it seems like it's just going to be a VR arcade thing. It would be awesome. It would be awesome if they employed it outside because Mario Kart was phenomenal.
Yeah,
so
it still is.
Yeah, so basically, like what it is, each thing is using HTC Vive. And they're all very like they're not just you put the headset on and you put on the thing and you just stand in a spot. They've customized all of the gear to suit that particular game. So Mario Kart was this massive kart with pedals and a wheel and everything, and then they strap the VR sensors to your hands, onto your head and everything like that, and then just throw you in, and so you can see your fingers and everything like that when you're in the game.
So you just like put your hands up, you've got like Mario hands and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was Yoshi, so it was weird because I had five fingers down to 3.
Well, I bet it was fucking weird when you laid an egg. What was it? How did it play? Like, what did it play like? Does it play like Mario Kart? Do they give you like what's the control interface? Are you just using the actual kart, steering wheel, and pedals? Is that how it plays? And visually, does it just look like Mario Kart, like the Wii U version or the Switch version?
It was pretty much like same graphical capacity as the Wii U one. And it plays like a traditional kart racer, like in an arcade where you just grab the steering wheel.
That sounds so cool.
But for items and things like that, they aren't the blocks that you hit. You have to reach out and pull them off of like these balloons that are hanging in the sky.
Oh,
and so
okay.
So you'll see a turtle.
Encourage you to be very animated in the cockpit, I guess, the driver's seat.
Yeah, and so it's like you grab the turtle shell and you actually have to grip it in your hand and then release your hand when you throw it.
I could imagine you like leaning out to like grab shells off the side of the road and all that kind of stuff. That sounds really cool.
And so it's like when I'm going and I'm seeing my friends, it's like you see them almost fall out of the cart as they try to reach for something. And
classic. That sounds awesome.
Things like that. And like it was just super immersive because the cart will like lift up and dip and you'll have like wind.
Oh, so it's actually got like kind of like rumble, like in a sense where you go into like those theme parks and you get on like the Armageddon rides and you're in the spaceship and it's rocking around and stuff.
Yeah, and it was just as my first VR experience, I was like, oh yeah, it's not going to hit me that hard. I'm not going to be like feeling it. I'm 100% sure that it's not real and all that. Okay. But the second I've strapped on the goggles, I was like, crap. I'm feeling this.
And then you came home early, sick.
Yeah. I hope that didn't have anything to do with it.
It's probably a combination of the vending machine food and the VR experience. I think that's probably what KO'd you. Back to the VR though. Did you try Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah, so the Dragon Ball Z one was simple, but it was really cool. So it's basically a similar thing. You have to stand in place, and they put things on you. Put sensors on your hands, like it covers your whole hand. And I think that there was one on your chest and on your head. So it'll register when you do a stance to charge up energy, when you blast, like just the basic energy blast, or when you do a Kamehameha.
You're telling me that all of our childhood dreams have been realized, and you can do Kamehameha waves.
Absolutely, you can even destroy the environment around you.
Oh my god, I have to go to Japan.
Yeah, and so it's
sounds incredible.
And like your arms are Goku's arms, so you can just.
Oh my god, I'm finally jacked too. That's so good.
And so it's just like childhood fantasy. Like it wasn't like in the end, it wasn't really anything special, but it was just like fulfilling a childhood fantasy, and you're just like
I know. I mean, like I don't know about you, but I'd had plentiful dreams where you'd be like a Dragon Ball Z character when I was younger, all the time. Just you'd watch it every morning, you'd watch it every night. That was it. Amazing.
And like one of the things, I didn't buy it when I was there because just for space, but you could buy a like take home Dragon Ball Z VR set that has like hand sensors and the thing for the Vive and everything.
Oh my god, that is so good. And I haven't even got a Vive, but it just makes me want one even more now. That's ridiculous. That's amazing.
Yeah, they were so happy about it, and the place was very English friendly.
Okay,
so
is that generally the case with a lot of kind of Japan? At least, sorry, were you in Tokyo?
Yeah. So
I'd imagine Tokyo would be very English friendly due to it being a very big tourist destination, at least.
Yeah. Tokyo is generally very English friendly. Most signs are in English as well as Japanese.
Okay, that's very cool.
And then like definitely massive tourist spots are always in English.
Nice. So speaking of tourist spots and road signage, someone told me, and I don't know how true, I don't know if someone was just taking the piss out of me or not, but somebody told me that on the streets there's this go-kart thing, but it's Mario Kart, and you can take these carts that is essentially Mario Kart themed out onto the streets.
You can absolutely do that. I was staying in Shibuya, which is the district of Tokyo where they do that. And so we'd wake up in the morning or go home at night and see these guys dressed up as Bowser and Yoshi and Peach and Mario Kart.
They go the next level, like they're dressing them up and everything.
Yeah, and like they're legit on the road, following the road rules and everything. And they've got like a party leader, and there's like 8 people following them.
So what is the point? Is it like a tourist bus, but you're getting these Mario Kart go-karts and you just go look at the scenes in your carts? Like, what's the go?
Yeah.
Are you actual racing? Do you throw shit at people?
No. I'm sure they'd get in heaps of trouble. No, it's sort of like what you said, a tour bus type thing, just so you can see the city, but through that sort of lens.
Yeah,
and
that's really cool.
And it's just really funny, especially since you hear like people just yell out, "It's a me!" because it's only Westerners that do it, and it's the funniest thing.
I was talking about this the other day with my mate. I'm like, could you imagine? Like, this sounds fantastic. Like, I'd love to give it a crack, but could you imagine if they had that here in Australia or in other Western societies? Like, we have enough issue with cyclists on our road wanting to take them out, and 10 points if you hit a cyclist. Could you imagine if we had tourists coming here jetting around on Mario Kart go-karts on our roads?
Oh, it'd be horrible.
It'd last about a week and there'd be quite a few fatalities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I don't get how it works. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, and apparently the tourists or the population in Japan, they're quite friendly and okay with it all.
Yeah. This is just from my experience, but from what I've sort of gathered is that there's just a mutual trust and respect for each other.
Yeah.
And that just carries over to everything. And so they're just very friendly because everyone else is friendly to them. And like for one time I saw like a construction worker take off his tool belt with like hundreds of dollars worth of tools and leave them outside a 7-Eleven while he went and did his business inside. Came out like 5 minutes later and his belt was there. Like, if you tried that anywhere else, his belt would have been gone.
Yeah, that's it. That's ridiculous. It definitely sounds like an amazing culture to live in. I'd definitely have to get over there one day and have a look. Now, this is your second time going back, isn't it?
Third.
Okay, so you've got an obsession. So are you going to find are they called waifus then? Is that what you're looking for? Is that what you're searching for in Japan? True love?
No, I mean, like, that can happen, but it's not the express purpose of my visits.
You're not looking for it, but if it happens, okay.
Yeah, like I'll absolutely let it happen. Like some of the friends that I was going with, that was kind of their express purpose. Like,
oh wow,
they went to Japanese Hooters one of those nights.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna be honest, that sounds great. I mean, that sounds really good.
And they were trying to pick up.
I mean, I don't know. Like, do Japanese women have Hooters on them? Or are they kind of more petite? Yes. Like, I feel like maybe that kind of defeats.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like,
I think that it's part of like the job criteria. It's
like, I think that actually applies to all Hooters.
Yeah, it's like that 5% of the population that can be in a Hooters will go to Hooters.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that sounds great. I'm going there for that very reason. All right, Mark, thanks for joining me, mate. Sounds like you had a really fun time.
No worries, it's great great being here.
Great being there. Great here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I'm still jet lagged.
You're still jet lagged with the hour difference. Okay, we'll pin it on that. So Mark is very jet lagged. He's also getting over the flu, but Thanks for joining me, Mark. Thank you to the audience for joining us for this slice of life. Remember, if you've enjoyed this episode, please remember to give us a like, subscribe if you feel so. Check out the channel, the GameCast channel, where you can find a lot more variety in video game content, being news, reviews, and other podcasts as well. And please leave your thoughts. Have you been to Japan? Leave your thoughts down below in the comments. We shall see you in episode 4.
Welcome to today's GameCast broadcast. Today's broadcast is packed with a large variety of unique and original programming that is sure to meet every gamer's entertainment needs, along with some old-fashioned vitamins A and B. You can expect the hottest news of the week, a large variety of opinions, and salt, from GameCast hosts, and some good old-fashioned fun. We have a lot of entertainment in store for you, so grab a Mountain Dew or two and a bag of Doritos, and strap yourself in for the one and only TV for Gamers.
This message not sponsored by Mountain Dew or Doritos. In fact, we wish we were sponsored by those guys. We could in fact be rolling into an admin cash and literal, so please someone out there sponsor the GameCast Entertainment Network. It means a lot to us, pretty please.
Stay tuned for the news hosted by Insert Name Here. Get yourself in the know on all the latest happenings in the gaming world. Be it good, be it bad, be it something that makes me very, very salty.
Hey there, hi there, hello there, internet dwellers, and welcome to another episode of the GC Informer. It's been quiet for a couple of weeks, because everyone's, I think, got a bit burnt out, but we're back, we're rested, and let's get straight on with today's news. A few catch-up stories from the week then. Bluehole, the developers of PUBG, are getting their knickers in a twist, because more and more games are popping up that are stealing the formula from their game, and certain aspects that they consider to be special, exclusive type content that people have come to recognise from their game and their game alone. However, for the first time in ages, it's not targeted at Fortnite. They are actually now going for a company called NetEase, who have been producing some mobile games that, in argument's sake, do, as an overall package, look rather PUBG-esque. Two games that they've pinged up in particular are called Rules of Survival and Knives Out. So there is perhaps a small argument on the side of PUBG that, yeah, these games do look rather similar to PUBG as a whole. However, the fact that they've chosen to nitpick on certain things is where this starts to get problematic. Because, how many times Bluehole need to be told, I don't know, but certain concepts they do not own. Yes, they put a bunch of them together in a game and called it PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and it's proven rather popular. But realistically, looking at that game, there's not really much that is, yes, this is an exclusive thing that only PUBG can offer, and they've created. They've just put aspects together from other games and gone, yeah, here we go. It's very bland in terms of uniqueness, I think. And even I enjoy watching PUBG. I don't really like playing it, but I like watching people play it, and it's not the most unique game. It's the experience that it creates that people have enjoyed, and on such a large scale. But yes, they are suing, they are nitpicking that the use of the mini-map, the use of jumping out of a plane, the use of a waiting screen, so a lobby, are all things that are being copied from their game, and then maybe they look done in a similar way, but PUBG are not the first people to do these things, and they won't be the last, so they can't stamp a copyright on it. Just like they can't copyright a battle royale. Over into something else now, Steam have done a privacy update to their services to give users more opportunity to make things private, so you can now hide whatever games you have in your library, what games you have on your wish lists, what you are currently playing, but perhaps more notably, which is where this then leads, is you can now hide your statistics. You can hide how long you've been playing a game, how frequently you've been playing a game. And so as a knock-on effect, this is causing Steam Spy to close. For those of you who are not aware, Steam Spy is a website that focuses on the statistics of Steam. So I've certainly used it in the past, all those interesting little charts that have come out that shows the growth of something like PUBG, and also the decline of things, and negative responses to things that have come up when certain people put microtransactions in their games. That's now going to have to stop. Well, somebody else might be able to find a way through it, but unfortunately now, because people have the opportunity to hide their stats, we'll never know if things are truly accurate or not. Which is a shame, because it was always something super interesting to see, but it seems this wasn't intentional on Valve's part. It was just something that comes as a side effect from giving players more freedom to hide things. So it swings and roundabouts. If you are a very private person, you don't like people using you for their statistics, then this is great for you, but I personally think it's a little sad, because I used to like learning all that stuff. It was pretty interesting. Microtransactions, friends, they're always on the horizon, they're always around, but they are shrinking, which is really, really good. So we knew it was coming. Battlefront 2's microtransactions are going to be returning, and they will be coming back on the 18th of this month, so literally a couple of days from now. But as addressed before, they are going to be substantially different, because miraculously EA have been forced to react to the huge backlash that they received, quite frankly. So annoyingly, they are coming back. We had hoped that maybe they would decide to just leave them, but you know, they are a business and they are going to keep trying to push. So microtransactions will be returning. But you know, swings and roundabouts, because Shadow of War did announce that they would be removing their microtransactions. As of the 8th of May, you could no longer buy gold in the game with real money, because the developers finally understood that by buying the things that you needed to progress in the game, what's the point in playing the game? And they finally realised this and have decided to take it all away. So, swings and roundabouts, you have some coming back, some leaving. The microtransaction sort of outrage of late 2017 and early 2018 does seem to finally be making some real headway, and hurrah! It's making changes, which is great. So over to my headliner of this week, I wanted to talk about Sea of Thieves. Woo! I know a couple of my colleagues have talked about Sea of Thieves, and they have pretty strong ideals on both sides of that fence, but this is about updates. Rare have now released a video, I believe, and some statements that show what they're planning for Sea of Thieves over the next few months. Because it's not finished. Good. And they have things that they want to add to the game. Good. It might actually be a game. I'm slightly revealing which side of the fence I sit on. But I have played Sea of Thieves. I downloaded the trial version of it, and it is good. I like it. There is definitely a draw to it. It is an interesting little pirate game, which we haven't really seen much of before. I like being able to play with my friends, but there's nothing in it. It's just like a big sandpit where someone took all the toys out and left maybe one bucket and one spade. And once you've made a couple of sandcastles, you're kind of like, oh, what do I do now? To put it into perspective, my 2-week trial is nearly over, and I have played the game once for one evening and have thought about playing it again, but I just haven't. So nothing is coming in April, so don't get too excited. April will kind of remain as it is because Rare are focusing on fixing immediate problems that the community have flagged up at the moment. They're still mainly bug tracking, but the new content will be coming in May, or at least beginning to come in May. So the first update that's due to come in May will be called The Hungering Deep, and it's going to bring a new, more intense AI enemy into the game for people to take on together. And in May they're also going to be bringing out a live event schedule, so players can see all the events that are going to be planned, all the special weekly events that players can take part in, and receive special rewards and things. But some foreshadowing of some future updates coming to Sea of Thieves as well is one called Forsaken Shores, which will open up a new area in the map completely, again with an AI related threat, and Cursed Sails will bring another AI related threat that it is believed to be a ghost ship of some kind. That sounds cool, but also a new player ship type, because people have been crying out for something that sits in between the current 2-man sloop and the 4-man galleon. So if you've got 3 players, which one do you choose? And if you've got more than 4 players, could you create a crew that's more than 4 on a bigger ship? Who knows? So Rare do have something planned for player ships, we just don't know what. So this will bring new gameplay mechanics, apparently a new AI enemies to the game, something that it is hugely lacking, as well as unique rewards to claim. But they have said that the larger updates will be taking place in autumn and winter. So whilst this could be something interesting to maybe keep players playing the game, I don't see it bringing new players in just yet. And a final little story of the week, a new game that's coming very soon to PC, PS4 and Xbox One, maybe Switch in the future, don't know, is a hand-drawn anime-style adventure game called Forgotten Anne. And that's going to be coming out on the 15th of May, so about a month away. It's a really interesting looking game. I had the chance to play it myself at EGX a couple of years ago, and yeah, it's a sort of little puzzle adventure game, and taking a lot of its hand-drawn anime styles from things such as Studio Ghibli, but also a little bit of like a Beauty and the Beast feel with the inanimate objects of faces and things like that. So yeah, it looks like a really interesting little game, and keep your eyes peeled. I think that could be something maybe worth picking up. And that brings us to the end of the news. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching. Stay tuned for more awesome gaming content. There's plenty to watch on the GameCast broadcast and on our YouTube channel as well if you fancy a backlog of all of our stuff. There's so many videos. I had to find one the other day and it took me a long time. And if you want to get more involved with the channel, you can join our Discord. We've got a bunch of new channels set up for chatting about all sorts of things, ranging from games to movies to art to whatever you fancy. And if you want to be part of the team, you can apply to join us there as well. We'd love to have more people making content. So if you have ideas and you want to put them forward, we want to hear from you. Thanks again for watching. I've been your host Orange Lightning from Orange Lightning Playzone. Enjoy the rest of your weekends. Take care for now. Bye!
The GameCast Discord is the hub of the small world that is GameCast. It's a thriving community filled with gamers, GameCast personalities, and other miscellaneous people we somehow keep picking up along the way. really don't know how to get rid of them. Not only will it keep you up to date and in the know on all things GameCast, but you will also find weekly gaming events, streams, and of course, a very salty Count Fracula, now also available in a low-sodium alternative. Coming up next, Game Changer. Explore the many weird and awesome ways you could be playing your favorite games. Hacks, mods, challenges, and glitches. Game Changer and your host Alex are sure to have it all.
What's up everyone, Alex here, and welcome back to Game Changer. This is where we explore weird and awesome ways to play games. Today, I kinda lost my voice a little bit, so I'm pretty close to the mic and trying not to overuse my voice, but gotta get this done for the YouTube, so bear with me. Today we are looking at a co-op mod for Skyrim called Skyrim Together, so let's get right into it. The Skyrim Together mod is exactly how it sounds. Multiple players can play on a single online server. It is planned to be released this year. And there's a live to-do list on Reddit that updates frequently, so you can check back on it and find out what's being worked on and how the mod is doing. Every server can technically support up to 64 players, and there will be a possible cross-play between the original edition of Skyrim and the special edition. Now for some bad news. Bethesda blocked the release for Steam, but a public release may still be possible. People are thinking that Bethesda's choice to block the release may indicate a plan to release something similar. Let's get into the details on how this mod is supposedly going to work. PvP is fully supported. Players are treated as NPCs, so fast travel is not allowed if you've aggroed somebody. When you die, a player can heal you if they reach you within 45 seconds. Otherwise, you respawn in Whiterun. Sleeping will not pass the time because obviously that would screw up the entire server and it would probably crash. It is advised that the player disconnects first before reloading a different save. Again, it plays into the whole you could mess something up really badly if you don't disconnect first. So as far as the experience works, all players involved can gain Dragon Souls, shouts, etc. Everybody gains the same amount of experience. Here's a quote from somebody who is working on the mod: "Everyone will be the Dragonborn, and we aren't going to change that." So I'm also going to add in a little section here that I'm calling the State of the Mod in 2018. That is what I wrote on this piece of paper. So there is a new developer as of now, which means that there are currently 8 devs working on this project. This is as of this month in 2018. I think we're still in March. Yes, we're still in March. There's a Discord server for anyone who wants to keep up to date with the Skyrim Together mod. There is an alpha release that will be available to the public very shortly from what it sounds like. This project is still going to actually be a thing. They are still working on this. It's just that they have to get past some of the obstacles and the fact that Bethesda is stopping them from being able to publish it on Steam. I think this is an amazing idea, and I'd really love to see this become a reality, but I can also see why there might be a problem because Elder Scrolls Online already exists, so I'm really hoping the devs can find an approach that works. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see me do a Skyrim challenge over on my channel, I just got done with a challenge series. You might like it. If you want to see more content like this, then head on over to the GameCast channel and see what we're doing over there. We've got news, reviews, podcasts, let's plays. We're doing some awesome stuff, and otherwise, come see us in our Discord server if you're interested in becoming a member or getting involved with the community. Anyway, I am signing off for now. See you later.
Follow GameCast on Twitter. Not only is it a handy space that keeps you in the GameCast know, but it allows for you to share with us what's piquing your interest in the gaming world, and, ultimately, aids us in staying in the know of what interests you, our fellow gamers and fans. The GameCast Twitter has been referred to as a shotgun to the face of tweets and content. We will be very
disappointed if you don't retaliate in kind.
Stay tuned for the Newscast, the show where the GC and former hosts are format-free, off-script, and, at times, out of their minds. Join them as they dive deep into the current events of the gaming world.
Warning, may contain high levels of salt. GameCast is not accountable for any health issues linked to salt exposure or consumption.
Welcome back to another episode of the GameCast Newscast. I am Snowy, otherwise known as Count Fracula. Joining me as always is my co-host Max.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. And bit light on the stories today, actually. Ah, that's the other fucking thing.